Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where we cover all of the major indoor football leagues, including the IFL, the NAL, the AAL, the TAL, the AF1, and then also the AIF. As you guys all know, we're here every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. As usual, I am joined by TJ Bartholomew and Cody below me, and then we also will have Krish Vyas joining us here shortly. But before we get into the episode, as always, let's start you off with a little bit of metal.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass.
All right. So we're promising perfection this morning. Guys, you heard the expectation. Denzel's ready to kick some ass if we don't. So on that note, we're going to kick it off with the AIF this morning. Like I said, Krish should be joining us any minute, so don't worry. The hot takes and Krish outs are coming any minute. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the main big piece of information that has kind of come out of Wyoming as of late. They have had a dramatic reschedule of the entire AIF schedule to kind of reaccommodate some things, because it sounds like Wyoming was not necessarily fully prepared to play safe arena football games. So as of now, it looks like Wyoming is no longer hosting any home games going forward. And, maybe that changes later on in the season if they can get the proper equipment in place. But as of right now, it sounds like for the foreseeable future, Wyoming is going to be kind of slotted as a travel team moving forward. So with that in mind, what are your guys' thoughts on the state of the AIF with that move? And then also, how are you guys doing this morning? So we'll go to TJ first on this one.
Hey man, I'm doing pretty good. Got some arena indoor action last night. Have a lot more today, and really the rest of the weekend. So I'm happy about that. uh, yeah, the AIF is just continuing to just kind of appear disorganized, unprepared. I understand sometimes it isn't the league per se. It's teams in the league, but you vet these teams, you allow them in, so therefore it is, as a league, it is your fault, because you kind of set yourself up for something like this to happen. I don't know how it's going to really help Wyoming out at all, because obviously at your home games, that's where you have a shot to get all your revenue, all your sponsorship money, all the fans following and fanfare and stuff like that. So to be a travel only team, your costs just, stayed the same in terms of going to away games, but now they just increased because now you just added more away games to it, and you're never going to see any of it come back. It's kind of like a worst case scenario to be a travel team in arena and indoor football, because you're shelling out the money, but you're never really getting it back. And anytime you travel as well, you also have to think, what players may not be able to now make the games to play, or even coaches to coach, because now work schedules, everything else. So it's a nightmare for them, and not a great look for the AIF, in my opinion.
Agreed. And just one more fact I wanted to throw in here real quick before I go to Cody. One thing that I think might be part of the reason why this is happening for the AIF is a lot of those teams are I don't want to say league owned, but they're owned by one specific owner within the league that obviously has kind of a big portion of the AIF under his control as well. So I think that might be why we're seeing this move by them, and why they think why it might benefit the league as a whole. But with that in mind, Cody, what are your thoughts on the move and kind of the midseason restructure by the
AIF? Excuse me. Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are enjoying the first 5 minutes of the show. For this, it just seems like more cutting corners. This isn't the first time we've heard of, arenas and things like that just not being up to standards. This won't be the last time we hear it, unfortunately. People are going to try and do stuff on the cheap. I get it. People need turfs. People need dasher boards. People need stuff like that. If the arena's not up to the standard that it needs to be, I get that. But it's more corner cutting and trying to get away with something that I'm not saying like you have to go about it the right way, and the right way can mean something different to everyone else. What is the right way for, I know Ricky just commented, what the right way is for Ricky could be different for the right way for Ron Schertz of the Arizona Rattlers. Who cares? I'm just making examples. This just kind of shows you that this is not the right way to go about it. Like Ricky commented, and you can pull that up. Just what happens to the season ticket holders? What happens to anyone that wants to go to these games? What happens to that entire city? We talk all the time about burnt markets and burnt bridges and everything like that. How many times has Wyoming had a team, whether it's the Cavalry themselves or the Gillette Mustangs? I know they're different cities, I believe, but at the same time, like you're going to put these teams in these, dare I say, isolated areas like Wyoming, Montana, whatever. You burn these bridges enough, the fans will just not show up. You don't have an unlimited supply like in LA or in New York. Enough of those teams, like it might be the only event in town, but eventually that circus, no one's going to go to if you keep screwing them over.
Agreed. And on that note, I did want to throw out there that actually it is the same exact location as the Gillette Mustang, same exact arena that they actually used to play in, the Camplex. So that is definitely a huge factor, and it's something that I didn't really even consider initially, which is kind of silly, honestly. But what does happen to the people who bought season tickets or have purchased tickets already? Do they get honored? Do they get refunded? I'm guessing, given the situation with the AIF right now, we're probably not going to see refunds issued, and I don't want to speak for them, but that's a concern. All of a sudden, then you have more bad blood for this league. So. Krish is now joining us, so I'm going to bring him on and then have him give his assessment of the situation. Then also, Krish, how are you doing this morning? Well, hold on, back up real quick. Cody, how are you doing this morning, sir? I forgot to ask you.
I'm doing all right. No one in the comments guessed who we were missing this morning. It was Krish. So you guys don't get a sweet compliment. I'm sorry. He showed up before you guys could guess.
There you go. Krish, my friend, how are you doing this morning? And then what are your thoughts on this situation?
Doing good out here in Omaha, Nebraska. Excited for tonight's big game. But no, I mean, look, the AIF is a joke. It's been a joke since day one. I think, Terry Foster, he has no prior leadership experience in a front office position before. So I think he's just trying his best at this point. And I don't know if they can come back from this. I don't. They keep, like, every single week we talk about them. We talk about a mistake every single week. So for me, there's no coming back, and I don't look at this as a legitimate league at all. I never have, honestly. So
that's a fair point. I mean, honestly, there's been bumps in the road since day one, right? We all know it. I want to say, obviously, bringing in a guy like Terrence Foster as the commissioner was a huge move. I think it brought some legitimacy to the league, and it also put somebody in leadership that actually legitimately cares. So I think that was a step forward. But at the same time, like Krish said, I think Terrence Foster is at this point just doing damage control and is limited in what he's able to do. I mean, due to the budget they have at hand, and then also what the reality of the situation is. So I think that's part of the difficulty for him. And, I kind of wonder if he knew the entire picture before he took the position with the AIF. But, he's a longtime veteran in this game. He knows the ins and outs of it. So I think he's a huge hire for the league. And I think they'd be smart to keep him up top there and give him the tools he needs to right the league and get them on the right path. But we're going to run through a couple comments real quick. Krish, correct me if I'm wrong. Our guest should be joining us fairly quickly, right?
no, it's in 30 minutes, I believe.
30 minutes. Yeah. Okay. I thought it was 8:30. That's my mistake. So on that note, Sea-Dog the Goat checking in, excited for the stream. Let's go. Day One Fawn. Then there's Texas Pete checking in. Adam Snow, Sam, good interviews after the Pueblo game. Thank you. I appreciate that, Adam. You've been pumping out some great content yourself, sir. Go check out The World of Football. They have some awesome stuff. They cover a lot of different leagues, much like we do. And they are very closely tied with the Michigan Arsenal, if you're an arena football fan. So Just like the NAL broadcast last night, Pete. scheduled for 6:05, and sometimes we start at 6:20. It just depends on the day. Good morning. Wake up, Sam. Time to start the show. I was awake this time. Take a guess on who we were waiting on. Winner gets a sweet compliment. Brandon. Oh, okay. So apparently he thought we were bringing on Brandon. He made it. Brian says, "Isn't that the infamous Dominic guy?" Referring to Dominic Montero with Wyoming. I believe it is, actually. And then we got Ricky's comment. Sea Dog the Goat. Sorry, I'm late. Never got a notification about it starting. No need to apologize, sir. We appreciate your support as always. Sean Eastridge tuning in. We appreciate you being here, Sean. I think you guys are waiting on Mike Davis. Very funny. We always love when Coach Davis tunes in, but I think he's a little busy this morning. He's out there in Green Bay with about a foot of snow from what I've heard. So every team left has its own owner. Let's call it what it is. There's one owner that is causing this. 100% agree on that. If they get refunds, if they get refunds, it continues to give the industry a bad name. I imagine he meant if they do not get refunds. The hell with the AIF. I coached there almost 2 years. That league is a joke. Fair enough. Stephen A. Krish, as we mentioned before. I got something special for you, Krish. I can't wait. I know you got a lot to say today. So if they don't get refunds, oops, sorry, I already read that one. Morning, Krish. You were on the spot about Amarillo in Louisiana. So far, he has been. I was the original head coach for the Muskies. Sean, we would love to have you on sometime if you ever want to come on and talk about your experience there. AIF is a joke. Damn, I actually agree with my fellow Michigan Arsenal fan. He's doing what he can to fix a dumpster fire that he walked into, referring to Terrence Foster, and the world of football is great. As always, of course, remember you're hitting the like button. All right, now that we're all caught up on all the comments and you guys are, getting acknowledged out there for all your support, we can kind of move on. And I guess the next subject at hand would be the TAL. I know we've mentioned here a couple times that there was a lot of concern about the Greenheads specifically not having a ton of movement. Well, all of a sudden, they're very, very active as of late. We spoke last week about the fact that they have started to begin their hiring process of other positions. They hired I think director of business partnerships, if I remember, is his exact title. They recently have started to begin announcing partnerships. They have one right now with Fleet Feet and Guerrero, the injury attorney. And they also have finally put up a Facebook page. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Make sure everybody goes and follows them. Obviously, as we have talked about, we're definitely excited about them coming around, and we want to give them all the support we can. But with all that in mind, let's kind of go around the horn on this one. We'll go to you first, Krish. Were you concerned about the kind of lack of activity out of Monroe or any of the TAL expansion teams for 2026 so far?
110%. We're in March and they're already looking for a head coach. Like, you need to put a team together by May. I mean, that seems like a really difficult. It's not difficult or impossible, but it's impossible if you're trying to be competitive. If you want to make the playoffs, if you want to do all these things, like in March is crazy. So same thing with Memphis. Memphis is a big time market. I wish they announced the head coach in January, December, November, so that person could get out and go in the community. But they're way behind. I don't like it at all. I'm worried about them, honestly. So
fair enough. Cody, what are your thoughts, sir?
Excuse me. My goodness. I apologize for the coughing. I'm in complete agreement with Krish. It's insane, and I'm going to kind of just like whole encompass this. Like the indoor and arena scene just seems like they can go, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, but it seems like they can just kind of fly by the seat of their pants in some of these aspects. And it's like you need a long, long runway to build a team, to build the infrastructure, to build a fan base, to build, dare I say, a culture within your city, within your community, to do what you want to do, to have a good team, to have a sustainable team. You need a long runway for that. And if you don't even have a head coach just a couple of months before the season, I'm not saying it's doomed from the start, but it's pretty damn close. Like, how do you build that? It's kind of rhetorical, but it's also, how do you build that? You get a coach, and in 2 months, he's supposed to have an entire roster filled out. You're supposed to have all your schemes, the rest of the coaching staff filled out, everything ready to go. And some of these players just called up at a whim. I know there's players out there that want to play, but at the same time, it makes no sense to me that you don't have, like Krish said, this should have been done months ago. And I've been harping on that from like the indoor football league perspective, but it's every league, man. You have so many teams that come into any league and like they can do it in like a month. It's insane.
That is one thing that eternally frustrates me, is that there's always delays. And maybe, don't get me wrong, we're well aware of the fact that they're not going to announce things unless they absolutely have to, and they're ready to. But at the same time, we're getting hiring posts, or hey, we're hiring head coaches and stuff like that, posts in the end of February, early March. So yeah, it's a little bit concerning. I will say that the kick in activity, or the jump in activity recently, has definitely encouraged me a little bit from specifically Monroe, but it definitely does make you look over at the Nebraska Siege and wonder, like, hey, they got a pretty early jump. They hired their GM, they immediately hired a head coach, and they started hitting the ground rolling. So are we going to see Nebraska, have a really good foundation? Or, is the lack of, announcements coming from them also a sign that we might have some concerns there? So, TJ, a couple topics there for you to kind of touch on. I mean, what are your thoughts on the situation with Monroe specifically, now that we got some more information rolling from them? And then what do you think about Nebraska getting that kind of head start?
I think it's going to be something overall to watch closely, see how they do, but they both do throughout the season because, Nebraska kind of went slightly more traditional, had that time frame, had that build up. Monroe again, when it was announced on basically our chat, in our list that, oh yeah, here's the link to their page that's up. And I clicked on it. It's like all of a sudden they're showing all these pictures and all these things. That's great. But my first thought was, where has this been for the last like 2 months? you know, you kind of just, like you said, you kind of just, some teams will actually try to be relevant and get information out to the fans, and other ones will just like go silent and then just pop up and it's all okay. It kind of makes fans a little nervous because in this sport, that sometimes means bad things. But I don't think that's the case for Monroe. I think they just decided to wait till the last minute, and again, we're going to see how it works out. To kind of echo Cody's sentiment, uh, you know, how much time, does a team need to be competitive right out of the gate? I think they're kind of pushing it. You want at least a little bit of that runway, like he was talking about, to have time to get the fandom, to get the support, but to also get the cohesion and everything else right. They don't even have certain positions filled yet. I mean, it's gonna be touch and go. I don't think it's bad for the TAL, but I think Monroe's definitely gonna struggle more than Nebraska does this season in terms of on the field wins losses.
Fair point. Fair point. I mean, obviously a lot, kind of a lot to unpack there. We're going to get to some comments. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will bring on our first guest of the morning. We're very excited to be joined by Coach Higgins from the Northern Arizona Wranglers. Has a very extensive background with a bunch of different leagues, and was a player, various different things. So he's got a lot to talk about. Very excited to have him on this morning, and we really thank him for taking some time out this morning with us very early. We know he's in Arizona, so it's very early in his part of the country. So we're very excited to have him on. But a couple comments here. Go Beef. As you can tell, TJ, as always, is representing the Beef. And then we have Krish out there in Omaha for the game tonight, which very excited to see all the footage and stuff he comes up with. Seeing the Gillette market burn hurts to watch. It hurts to watch any market be treated the incorrect way. Good morning, fellas. I was finally able to catch you guys from the beginning. We appreciate you tuning in, Coach Golston. Awesome. Coach Eastridge, would love to connect with you. Shoot me a DM and we'll get you scheduled to come on the show sometime. Brian Mathern, yeah, because Tuscaloosa fell through. I'm not sure what he's referring to on that. It's tough, but it can be done. Year one of the TAL, I got the job May 1st. First game was June 1st. Depending on who they hire, he probably has a network for players and I imagine other coaches as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, Cody, load them up with semi-pro players. Where have we heard that before? For the record, there's still a lot of professional players out there looking for a place to play. And you also have to consider that the TAL starts after IFL cuts, after NAL cuts, and I think even after AF1 cuts, if I'm not mistaken. So you do have a pool of players you'll be able to pick up from, although granted, they are behind the 8 ball at that point. So we definitely do have to acknowledge that. At this rate, the state of Louisiana is going to be 0-18 across all leagues. Coach Waronka tuning in. Let's go. IFL kicks off tonight. Jacksonville is ready for the renewed rivalry with O-Town. Very excited to see that first Orlando-Jacksonville game, and I'm sure Krish will have all the smack to talk. TJ on the campaign trail. Naz should – I'm not sure what – should be getting the L March 28th, I think is what he's trying to say, and then go Beaumont here in the chat. So, like I said before, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come right back with our first guest of the morning, Coach Higgins from Northern Arizona. So stick with us. Lots to talk about, and we appreciate all the support this morning so far.
I don't know what we're yelling about! Loud!
Omaha Beef Football! Prime Dancers! Rump Roasters! Slaughterhouse! Are you ready? DJ next one. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse where we run it. Yeah, we really want it. Beef Nation, got 'em shaking. Got a ring and we flown it. Prime Dancers be on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to take and we done it. Ricky is the chief saying, let's go beef. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. Orange and Black about to win this. Defense stays on attack. You on our hit list. Like you're blocking and dumping, jumping out the gymnasium. You want to see the best? Meet us at the Beef Stadium. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Let's go Beef. Orange Kingdom. Slaughterhouse. Orange Kingdom. Prime Dancers. Orange Kingdom. Let's roll, baby.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
All right. Sorry for such the long commercial break, but we are back with Coach Higgins. Coach Higgins, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it's bright and early in Arizona there. Is it 6:43 for you or 7:43?
It's 5:43. It's not too early.
Ouch.
7 hours into my day. Not bad.
Dang. Well, thank you for joining us so early, man. I totally forgot some parts of Arizona is Pacific time, so that is definitely rough. So we appreciate your time this morning. Hopefully you got a coffee handy and you can keep yourself energized while we're talking, and we don't bore you too much here. But I don't think that's going to be a problem because you have had a very, very extensive career, lots to talk about. But what I want to start with is obviously you come to the IFL and the Naz Wranglers in 2026 in a time when the IFL is taking large steps forward in the growth of the game. So I have to ask, I mean, how has that helped you not only from a recruiting perspective, but also from a coaching perspective and just feeling good about the direction the league's headed? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's been as you know, a lot of arena football leagues for a lot of years here. A lot of big steps with this Yahoo Sports and all the moves that the IFL has been making. It's a really exciting time. The league has actually been growing and been one of the strongest leagues in the arena football, world, so to speak, for some time now. So from a recruiting standpoint, it's an easy sell. We like to think too, as coaches, that's an easy sell when you've got some good coaches and you can, get players to, buy into what you're bringing as far as culture, as far as scheme, and as far as some ways you may be able to help them. But definitely, across the league, there's been some really exciting things like we're talking about here with just the way the league is all. It's like 17, 18 years now it's been in. Teams have all been pretty stable, and obviously last year with Vegas winning it and it kind of spreading around a little bit as the different IFL championships, where they've been and how the league has gone and showcase these players to get them a better opportunity. It makes it really easy for us as coaches, but most importantly for the fans. I mean, the fans are going to really be able to dive in different ways on different venues, on laptops, on phones. I've already seen a couple times the game's been, really highlighted. Hey, this is going to be on Yahoo Sports or the different apps. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it used to be FanDuel. I don't know if that's still, on FanDuel. No, it's not, right? Anyway, I've been caught up in the coaching world and diving into that. But no, it's been really great. But it's really exciting to see not only this indoor football league, but I root for all the football leagues. So I just being an indoor football guy, it's really exciting, man. So I'm ready to go. Like, we'll see that first game tonight, see how that goes, and move forward.
Absolutely. And just to recap for anybody who in the chat might have some questions about that FanDuel situation, the IFL has announced a partnership with Overnight Media, I believe it is called, and they will be broadcasting the remainder of the games that were not picked up by Yahoo, which we already talked about a couple weeks ago. Yahoo picked up 5 of the games, the IFL Cup Series, and then the rest of the games are going to be going on overnight, it sounds like. And then IFL Network is still around for highlights and then other content coming from the league as well. So for anybody who's not aware of that, that's how you can catch the games. And for the record, Overnight Media, I believe, is only $11.99 a month, and there's a discount code if you sign up as an IFL fan. So everybody willing or questioning where they can catch the games tonight or this weekend. So just wanted to throw that out there. Also, Coach, I owe you a congratulations. You got a very fancy ring as of recently from Saskatchewan, if I remember correctly.
I'll have the ring coming. I appreciate that. That's a very very cherishable moment to win a world championship with a bunch of great players, great coaches, great organization, and that's something that I'm gonna like I said, cherish for a very long time. It's not every day that everybody gets to win a championship, and but when you have this type of mindset, you're only as good as winning your last game. And fortunately, we did it this year. Unfortunately, past in my career, we've made it to the big dance several different times, and I didn't come away with a ring. So, yep, I'm getting ready to get that ring, and I'm not quite sure actually if I'm actually going to wear it, if I'm going to put it, on a shelf, but it's definitely going to be in my possession, and I'm going to look at that sucker for 2 weeks straight every single day for a long time.
As you should. Hell of a run by Saskatchewan there. And honestly, it was very, very inspiring to watch in the playoff run specifically. But Krish, I don't want to take up all of Coach Higgins' time. I know you were the reason that he's here this morning, so I'll go ahead and kick it over to you and let you ask the next question, my friend.
No, good to see you, Coach. My question for you is kind of speak about the receiver room this year. I know you got a lot of dynamic playmakers, Jordan Jakes, Marlon Cook, Kobe Smith. Talk about those guys and kind of what they bring to the table this year.
Oh, man, I don't want to talk about anybody specifically, but when I say that, you can ask specifically, but no, it's a really great group, man. We got a great group of veterans, a great group of, rookies. We're just trying to gel together and get the dynamics of all the, the details of the game. That's what I'm trying to bring with these guys. But I just got to really give them kudos about how much fun it is working with them and how we compete every single day. And, they're really, really, they've dove in right into the details of everything they need to, understand, and working great with the quarterbacks. It just makes it a lot easier as a coach when you have true professionals that come in and, want to really work every single day. And it's not just that receiver play, it's that special teams, kick return, and holding, all the different things and nuances. But to your point, you know the names. We've got some burners. We got some guys that can run real fast. We got we got a bigger body on the outside that can go get it. We're trying to give them the details of everything. We're going to block. This is a receiver core that's going to play the receiver position the way it's meant to be. And of course, we're gonna run the waggle with some good wiggle at times. We're gonna use a little bit of shiftiness at the top of our routes and go ahead and get off press and get off people and move around. And then we're gonna go locate the football. I mean, that's what we get paid to do. That's what our job is. And I'm just really fortunate to be with some great guys that want to learn. And I can't wait to get to practice. Here in a couple hours, work with them again. But you could ask specific questions. I got no problems. But I just love that whole group, man. They just really are true professionals, and I'm excited to see what they're gonna do.
I gotta ask you though, what receiver on the team reminds you most of yourself?
They're all so much better than me that I don't have anybody. Well, I can take parts of them. I'll take parts of them because, honest to God, I tell these guys to truly be them, right? So everybody's different. When I talk about, like a Marlon Cook, I had to use my body to try to lean on anybody and get open. And Marlon is a guy that, he's got a lot more talent than I did, but he'll use his body. If I look at I look like Kyron Herrera. If I look at him, I wish I was as fast, but I was pretty fast. But I mean, he's just a different type of speed, man. So he kind of reminds me of what I wanted to be, but I was pretty quick. And then you look on the outside, J2, man, Jakes. I mean, I wasn't that tall, but I used to go get some fade balls. So, I mean, I like that. But, again, you're asking me to prepare or compare myself. I mean, Smitty, I would say, looking at him, man, he's savvy. He's a savvy vet. Took me a long time to get there. But once I understood the game and understood, the concepts, I figured out how to get other people open and get myself open or not get myself covered, so to speak. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but they're all different, man. It's the game has evolved, but if I could take some of those qualities from them, it's really their positive qualities. That'd be great. But yeah, they're all very talented guys. But again, you're not as good as your potential. Potential doesn't get you paid. We all know that. We have to perform. I have to perform. The team has to perform, and that we're just excited to go to work and see what we can do and see if that performance shows when we play.
Oh, looks like we lost Krish. Cody, why don't you go ahead and ask a couple questions? We'll just do two apiece.
Okay. Excuse me. Hey, Coach, how's it going? I got a couple. The first one. How much of the CFL game translates to the IFL game when it comes to high motion men, when it comes to preparing against the defense and how the defense schemes against that? How much of the CFL game kind of translates? Because with IFL players, the goal is obviously the NFL, but if they don't make it there, it's the UFL or the CFL. And we've seen plenty of IFL players get called up to the CFL, whether for better or for worse. In your opinion, how much of the CFL and IFL go kind of hand in hand?
Well, let's just be completely clear on one thing. The arena football, any type of league, because it's 28 yards wide and 50 yards long, that part of it is very different and is always going to be different, right? In the indoor football war, so to speak, there's a reason why they say the walls are undefeated. There's nowhere to hide. However, when you look at the way that it could be, or specifically the indoor football league, compare it to the CFL, we have two guys in motion. Up there, they're going to have five guys in motion. Everybody can be in motion. But that's closer than anywhere else. So there's certain concepts, passing-wise, that could be comparable, to the CFL. Now, it is a completely different game. There's a yard off the ball for linemen up there. There's 12 men on the field. But there's some other specific concepts like having a rouge, a 1 point, which they have up in the CFL. But when you look at how the IFL, it's I've had to take it in, so to speak, and say things like, well, it's more close to the outdoor game because you can go 4 deep, or you can have a 4-man box, a 5-man box. You can drop guys. So when you look at concepts like that, Those things are the closest that you can possibly get to the CFL compared to any other league that are kind of stuck with certain rules, within their games. Now, with that being said, the running back position, here in the IFL, we use the running back. You run the ball, you throw the ball, and that's very comparable to the CFL. But for those guys that are out there watching this or want to get up into the CFL, I just say it like this, because you look at how many players up in Vegas went last year, or you look how many players got signed previously, or you look at Justin Rankin, who was in Edmonton, and he's, in my opinion, one of the top backs in that league, and he played in the IFL. It doesn't really matter what anybody thinks; it matters what you think. So you want to get your acclimation to football, or maybe to some motion football, and with two-man motion waggle in the IFL as a receiver, so to speak, or any position. Get yourself some film. If you got a coach that's been up there and knows some guys, or maybe you want to go to some workouts after and you want to keep playing, the most important thing is you believing in yourself. You putting some film together and you going up there and saying, "This is who I am." So, but that's where I think the game is kind of similar. Even on special teams, depending on how the coaches implement the special teams, if you're doing a lot of the drills and skills and things like that they're going to have to do up there, then the game is similar. So I just excited to be seeing which guy from this team or which guy from the next team is going to make it up there. And, I'll be clapping for them, and hopefully they get their ring.
Love it.
I was going to say, as a casual Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan, I do like the rivalry that they have with Saskatchewan. So final question here. Final question here, and this is going to be even more beef with you. I have this team for Northern Arizona pegged with 3 wins. Now, it's kind of a sliding scale because I think you guys can win more than that. Sell me on this team. And the reason why I say this, for my personal perspective, I guess, this is a team that won 2 games last year. They've done a lot of turnover, but they have retained quite a few players, quite a few coaches. What is going to be different this year compared to last year in terms of how better is this team going to get? Playoffs, championship, sell me on it.
I'm not a big sell guy. Okay. I'm just a guy that goes to work. When you know. So I don't really believe in confidence. It's more about the work you're putting in and being convicted, meaning conviction in everything you do. That's your work ethic, your details. We're not trying to get better, for 16 weeks. We're trying to get better for today. I can tell you that being the underdog is a serious advantage. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you how many games we're going to win, because I know that the next game is the only one that matters. So I appreciate guys like you, honestly, and I don't mean this in disrespect. I'm very, very humble. I care about people. I'm not somebody that's like, going to talk a bunch of junk. No, but this is why you play the game, and these are the things that motivate you as a coach and motivate you as a player. Now, I'll be real. I look at rosters, right, and I know some guys that came back, right, on this football club, but there's no reason for me to look at who was here prior. That's a waste of time. And when I look at San Diego, if that's by chance who we're playing the first week, I don't need to look at anybody other than who was there. So just, to me to sit here and to sell you on how good we are or what we're going to do, I mean, I just think that's kind of like, I'm not going to be focused on what I have to do. It's not my job to sell anybody. It's my job to get the players ready. It's my job to go to work today and prepare. It was my job 2 hours ago to go, get my mind right, so to speak, and get up and go for a run and do some organization before I get on this meeting, because I had to, be ready for the day. But once again, being the underdog is a very, very serious advantage. So I know this. I've had the very, very fortunate background of ever since I was, 7 years old, other than one team in 2004 that I played on, to be on a winning team every single year. And then, get into coaching after that. And even in coaching, it's great, turnaround programs and all that, but it's not about that, because sometimes you look at records and you see 50% win coaches, or maybe they went to the playoffs, but 60, 70%. And you think, oh, well, they're decent, but how good are they? But sometimes you got to look at how good they are after the person leaves. Then you really know. So you see what happened to those teams and programs after the team lost that head coach. So I look at those things, not to tell you how good I am or anybody else is, but what's very, very important to recognize, and I guess this would be the only sell, when you have much of the staff or a bunch of players, that when you look at where's those places that they were in the ways that they'd won, regardless of what league they were in or what level it was, when the real items that are most important were at the forefront of the program, which were culture, physicality, and details. The details also goes into those other two things. And I know that's where we're at. I know that's what our vision is. I know that this is what these players are buying into every day. So I'm not going to, again, tell you how many wins that's going to be or what that's going to look like, but I can tell you that those guys will be there waiting for me this morning, and they're putting those details into every single thing we do. And if you think that we as a staff, Ron James and Larry Hendricks and Mike Mayer and Coach Higgs, if you think that we've got enough background that we know details, then you, my friend, can talk about how many wins we'll have. But it's just not me. I respect every team in the league. I know it's going to be a dogfight every week. I know these guys are all thinking the same thing, all their coaches. But again, it's my job to have conviction in what I do, and I do. I'm just excited to see what it is. But yeah, I think we'd be better, But I mean, hey, we can go out and get worse if we don't do what we're supposed to do. So you really projected us for 3 wins, right? You don't think, I don't know. You look at the roster last year and you look at the other teams. What do you think? Everybody else got a lot better too? Is that where you're at?
With San Diego, I think they got a lot better. Arizona and Vegas are always pretty good. Yeah. You do have an expansion team coming in with New Mexico, duking it out. Tucson and San Antonio, I don't know if they necessarily got better. I don't know if they necessarily got worse. The way that I have it is I have it one playoff spot left between you, San Antonio, Tucson, and New Mexico.
Yeah.
So, like
it makes it fun for you, right? I mean,
that's what the people love, man. The people love these projections and the spewing of all of that, man. So I get it. Like I said, it's no ill will towards like this team is absolute trash. This team sucks. It's never that. It's always like I can see, like I said, there are some games where like Northern Arizona can pull out a victory. There's some games where I think that there's a game where, and it happens for every team, where it's just like, hey, we absolutely should have won this game, but a penalty or some miscue or something caused us to lose this game. So, yeah, unfortunately, I have it at 3, but I am absolutely looking forward to you proving me wrong with that. Like I said, there's no ill will when it comes to that. I'm not going to sit there and be like, hey, man, this is what I got. Your team sucks. It's never, ever going to be that.
Well, that's what people don't really realize anyway, is that these guys are all professional athletes. So anybody can beat anybody on a given night. And I don't look at it like you saying that at all. I mean, this is your job and what you do, and it makes it fun for you. But as coaches, we don't look at it. We're not going to rank any team. Like that's just not what we're going to do. We just know that every single week is going to be a dogfight, and we're just going to be better than we were the day before. And if we stick to that process, and our players buy into it, and of course there's, injuries and trades and things that, you have to deal with and get through. We'll see where it ends up. But, I'm willing to bet that we're going to be better. I just know that everybody else is a good football club, and I respect all these coaches, and there's coaches I haven't coached against that I'm going to find out about as well. But no, I'm excited about it. It's a great, great sport. I'm in a great state. I got a great staff. I got some great players, and I'm going to try to be great every single day I can.
As long as you beat Orlando, I think that's what everyone wants.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story, but it's all good. It's all good.
Well, according to Krish, he has you at 9 wins. So there's a 6-win deficit between Cody and Krish currently. So that, take that for what it is. TJ is our resident special teams expert. So I figured he's probably got some great questions for you about your role with not only Saskatchewan, but obviously Naz this year as well. So I figured we could transition into that. TJ, what do you got for us, man?
I have one special teams question and then just one personal opinion question.
Yeah.
I'm not going to predict any kind of insulting win total. All right, I promise. In terms of special teams, you're going from the CFL, which is the biggest field, most players, to indoor, which is overall the smallest field, least amount of players. What's probably some of the biggest differences in terms of special teams strategies and things like that you're kind of having to adjust to coming back into the indoor game?
To be honest with you, for me, when I say there's not much of an adjustment, I don't mean that in a negative tone, but I've got like 15 years experience in the indoor football game between playing and coaching. So I'm not really a rookie, when it comes to arena football. But to your point, the field is, like I said, 28 yards wide with 9-foot goalposts and 8-foot rounded end zones in most of the places with the jumbotron and, no nets now in this league, which all those things affect a lot of different things with kicking and with the game itself. But at the end of the day, it's football. Like, let's be real. Blocking and tackling is the basis of fundamental football. Throwing the ball and catching it is the fundamental basis of passing the football. These are the fundamentals. So, like, when you're looking at the game, I think sometimes guys try to make it too hard. It's not hard. Stick to your vision, stick to your process. If you want to work a certain scheme, work the drills and work the angles of the game that you're going to be playing and the speed of the athletes you're going to be going against, and work it every single day, and you're going to get better. So, kicking is going to be so much different with the jumbotrons and, returning. At the end of the day, man, you got to go fast forward first, and you got to protect the football, right? You got to have ball security. On a side note, I think Krish threw me a couple extra wins in because he's got confidence in my coaching, but I'm not going to hate on him for that. But again, it could be 9 wins, it could be 7. My point is, these coaches that practice and implement their special teams and their drills, it's going to be, it's going to be their processes that we have to go against and their strategies that I'm to go against looking at their films. But at the end of the day, the drills and the skills that I'm teaching are no different than the CFL, the NFL, the UFL, the NAL, high school football, little kids. I mean, all the same things that you do, whether you're 5 years old or 35 years old. When you make a mistake, it comes down to fundamentals. So you have to work on those fundamentals, and you have to do it in the indoor football league. And that's what Coach Higgs is going to bring, to his football team here. And, if you want specific things coverage wise or kicking wise, we can get into that. I love diving into stuff like that, but I mean, it's football, you just have a smaller field. You got to get 8 guys and there's not 11. I mean, you just play by the other rules, but it's going to be exciting. I can't wait to go.
TJ, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I do have one more question. Your playing career stretched into, or was during, what we in the sport consider like the greatest time for the sport, not just publicity, but also skill and, athleticism in the league, everything else. You were very modest earlier, but, as a player, you did win multiple awards. So, including Ironman, Defensive Player of the Year, things like that. So I just want to throw that out there. But in your opinion, from when you were playing, when it was essentially the AFL and then AF2, and that was basically it in terms of a national scale. Now the current landscape is multiple leagues, everything else. Do you think the sport itself is better set up for multiple leagues, or do you think it was better when it was just primarily one league over top all the others?
That's a good question. I'm going to answer that, but ironically, Do you know let's see what year, I'm trying to remember because I'm so damn old. It was 1, 2, 3. There was a 2-year stretch, 3-year almost, because there was a year I got traded, where I was in the AFL. But did you know there was actually an indoor football league team that I played with 2-man motion and actually played through camp and through a few season or through a few weeks during the season. And I actually ended up leaving there. Did you guys know that? And I went to the AF2.
I did not catch that.
Yeah, the Duluth Superior Lumberjacks up in Duluth, Minnesota, and the bridge that crosses between Superior and Duluth. I actually was leading receiver in the league and leading return in the league for a couple weeks, and that's a whole nother thing. I made a decision and left and had a parting of ways with my agent over that. But back to your question. Back then it was, it was great athletes. I think because they were buying in and there was, at the time you had the NFL, you had the CFL, which not a lot of people like. I made the mistake. I didn't want to play in the CFL, didn't know what it is at first. And then, it became more popular and I didn't actually even want to play arena football. And it became like the most fun game I ever played. But looking at that and looking at now, I'd like to see all the indoor football leagues really, really be sustained and last. But quite honestly, there's decisions and reasons why I chose, to come here in the indoor football league. But to your question, it's like, I think if the players get opportunities, which they are, right? The indoor football league is going to stay. It's going to be around. What's going to happen here. So now it depends on which league next. And this is just me being truthful. Take care of the players. Stick to what they say. Provide what they should. And then the next part, give them an opportunity to grow, to be great somewhere else. Because it's all about the players. It should be all about the players. The players are what make this game go. And I'm not discrediting any coaches or any owners. And of course, after the players, I would say it's the fans, right? So fans and players make up this sport. So if you keep the fans and the players happy within their leagues, then we'll have more growth. We'll have more opportunity. And honestly, I'd love to see like different arena football leagues. I mean, just because I caught off the net, I'd love to see, the ones with the net and catch it off. And that's just what I did. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for the strategy of course, the indoor football leagues that don't have the net. But, you got the NIL, you've got the IFL, you've got the AF1, you've got back then, man, it was like 2 or 3 and you were, you had to ball out, man. It was like, you talk about running 4-4-4-3 and not just that, you had to play multiple positions. I'm talking at the receiver position, linebacker position, DB position. I mean, I was lucky because I was a holder and I could return the ball and I could just be kind of like slash, move around. I was a backup quarterback. But no, these guys are still tremendously athletic. They've got a lot of skills. But I think as the fans like the game and the players get opportunities, it's going to all be about the players for these things to be sustainable and grow. But yeah, I don't know. Like, be honest, you guys, I've been stuck in my CFL world the last 2 years until I got back. Right now, like, I've been just grinding once I knew I've been getting here and literally sundown to sunnight, just playbook, studying, looking at film. So you won't hear me tell you that I don't know how many other leagues there are other than I know the AL, the NAL, the AF1, IFL. But there's like these new like leagues that I think they're trying to play in like Europe. Like, what do we got out there? What's going on? Like, what's actually been sustainable? You tell me.
Well, that league's brand new, the IAL. And I'll be honest, a lot of us have our doubts.
Yeah.
TAL is the other one, the Arena League, and they're kind of funky a little bit. They don't have kicking. So there's a throw off. So they're able to play in a little bit smaller arenas and a little bit more obscure towns and stuff that they've been pretty pretty sustainable. But other than that, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with the AF1, the NAL, and the IFL, and then there's also another league coming about in 2026, the AAL, the American Arena League. So.
Yeah, I just want to see whoever can, take care of the players as best as possible as professional athletes. That's my thing. But man, the games are all fun. Like I enjoyed, NAL. I enjoyed, of course, playing and all that, AF1, AF2. But I'm really excited with two-man motion just because it's a little bit closer to the CFL. Like we had all these guys in motion. There's some things you can do, and just being an offensive guy, it's fun. But anyway, I'll let you guys go with your next question.
Krish, I'll let you close it out, man. We're getting a little extended, so I don't want to take up too much of his time. So why don't you go ahead and ask our final question?
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you, I've always been curious about this. Is there an advantage to be on a smaller staff, like smaller coaching staff versus a bigger coaching staff in terms of chemistry?
That's a great question. And I say that because there's benefits and there's disadvantages. You want to be completely real. In my eyes, the more coaches you have, right, then maybe the more things you can get done because there's so much to do in football that you can, spread the wealth, so to speak, and take less off your plate. That's an advantage. However, when you got a small staff, you talk about chemistry and culture, like you're working with every single guy, right? These are small little groups of arena football players in camp, where you have 25 players or whatever during the season. And there's benefits to that. And there's even a more benefit, somebody like me, I absolutely love it because I'm a special teams guy. I love the big guys. I got respect for the big grazers, so to speak. And the guys are in the trenches just because that's the only position I never played. So I get to work with them guys on field goal. I get to work with them on field goal block. And, so from a special team standpoint, I get to work with all those other guys. And let's be real, you have a head coach that you want to take things off his plate. He doesn't, need to and needs to do some other things and not be involved in those things. So now if you take one guy away, right, that leaves you a couple more. So you're working with all the players, you're building your chemistry, you're building your culture. And then that becomes, your football family, so to speak. So there's a lot of benefits in that regard, but there's also benefits, obviously, to having more guys to get more work done. But I get to work with everybody, with receivers and quarterbacks on offense, and then you're doing special teams, and these guys are the holders, and they're the, returners, and you get the big uglies, so to speak. My linemen love them. You get to work with them, and of course the defense, right? And everybody on defense should be on special teams. So if you're me, right, and you're a coach, you should be on special teams. So everybody's on special teams, and I get to work with them. But yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get when you get that small little staff. And we got a great culture within our staff and a great bunch of guys. Coach James is great, and Coach Hendricks, he's got a different energy too for his defense. Definitely defensive mind, and I'm everything you probably think I would be as a special teams coordinator, but I just happen to be an offensive guy. So I'm just doing my part, what they need me to do there. But yeah, man, it's definitely benefit that little arena football small community up in Saskatchewan. You got like 60 players, so it's there's more to do, but you got more coaches. It's different, but again, end of the day, it's just football. It's the same thing, man. But those are some differences with the small teams and staffs.
I like it. Mike Davis checking in. He says, "My dude Higgs."
He's great.
Absolutely. And then Firebird Dave also checking in. Huge Albany Firebird fan. I'm sure he's excited to see you on, given your time in Albany as well.
You probably don't even remember me. I'm so old, man. We had the card catalog back then. You know what I'm saying? But
Dave's been around for a while, right. But I think you're way overblowing how old you are, and maybe underestimating the age of some of us on the show here with you. That's okay. But anyway, Coach, I really wanted to thank you for your time this morning. You've been on with us for about 45 minutes, and honestly, our interviews normally run a little bit shorter, so we really appreciate you sticking on and answering all our questions. Like I said, I knew your interview was going to be a really entertaining one because you got so much you can touch on, from the CFL, the IFL, all of it. So really appreciate your time. Wish you the best of lucks luck this season, and let's hope we come in a lot higher than that 3-win total that Cody projected.
Yeah,
No,
he can flash the ring at me.
No, I appreciate it. No, I just to tell you guys, I don't need a pat on the back. I just stayed up a little bit later and got up a little earlier, and it wasn't just for Krish. Yes, he's my dude, and you see, I got great relationships with like Coach Davis. What a great guy! But it'd be for all of you guys. I love this sport. I love the fans. I 100% love all my players and coaches. But anytime you guys need me, and I'll be there. I just love the game. So if you need something, you can reach out, and I'll be there as well. And hopefully, I don't see it on Instagram or Facebook. That's my thing. I don't want to see that ring at all. I want it mailed to me, and I want for the first time for me to open it up, and that's when I see it. And if you guys want to see it after that, you're welcome to. But I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and we would love to have you back on right after you get your ring for sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Definitely. So have a great rest of your day, Coach, and best of luck this season.
Have a good one. Go Naz.
There we go. There we go. If you're a Wranglers fan in the chat, make sure you drop a like for Coach Higgins coming on this morning. And also, if you happen to see him at a game this year, definitely thank him for giving us the time this morning, because obviously, like I mentioned, great interview, lots to talk about. Always love having on the coaches who can touch on multiple leagues and multiple different experiences, because it just makes for such an entertaining interview. But before we get to the rest of the IFL topics for the day, we're going to hit a quick commercial break again, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We've got a ton to talk about with the IFL still, and we're just going to go ahead and stay on this topic. We've got overnight media contract, the IFL network returning, the Capelli merchandise contract, and then also the IFL roster expansion as reported on Strictly Blizziness earlier this week. So lots to talk about, and we haven't even touched on the NAL, which just had their first game of week 2 last night. So like I said, stay tuned with us. Lots to talk about.
You hear that? That's football coming back to Louisiana. The Louisiana Rougarou are storming the arena with speed, power, and non-stop action, hard hits, fast scores, and an electric night out for the whole family. It all starts February 28th. 7 home games, 1 house, the Brookshire Grocery Arena. Tickets range from $24 to $34. Football isn't over. It's just moved inside. Scan the QR code to secure your tickets or visit LouisianaRougarou.com.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
The mountains you climb, maybe stairs. The records you set, maybe personal. The fans you inspire, maybe family. No lights, no camera, just action. You don't have to be a pro. You just need Honey Stinger.
All right. Krish, are you still with us? All right. We'll see if he pops back on. Okay, there we go. So you want to go to NAL real quick because you have to get out of here? Okay, cool. So I apologize to everybody watching. We will transition over to the NAL briefly. Krish has to get out of here. Obviously, as mentioned before, he is in Omaha for tonight's game. So stay tuned for that. I'm sure you'll see him on the sidelines at some point during the broadcast. And I'm sure we'll be getting some pictures and videos from him at some point from the game. But we'll go ahead and transition over to the NAL. Obviously, as mentioned before, they just kicked off week 2. They had a Friday night game last night. If you did not catch it, the first quarter or so, they actually had 2 games last night. The first quarter or so of the Southwest Kansas game had some issues with the stream. However, the Amarillo game was very well broadcast. The stream was damn near perfect. The field looked great. And then on top of that, Sioux City looked like a well-oiled machine at this point. But let's go to Krish first. What topic specifically did you want to start on, and what are your thoughts on the two games from last night?
Yeah, I'll start with Amarillo and Sioux City, man. I mean, Lorenzo Brown, talk about amazing. He had 5 incompletions and 5 touchdowns. He looked so stellar, over 168 yards, 25 on the ground. Amarillo is terrible. They're a terrible football team. Leif Curtis, the owner, he goes on Facebook talking all that shit. He's real quiet today, real quiet. So, I think he should go back to semi-pro because that's where he belongs. But no, in all seriousness, like I think. Warning. That was crazy. No, but honestly though, like I really think they need a complete culture shift in Amarillo. I mean, they have Coach Blakely, he's suspended. So Coach Anderson, J.A. Anderson is taking over for the first 5 games. And that's already not seeming to work out. So obviously prayers up to Tyler Shaw, the quarterback for Amarillo. He suffered a really bad injury. Really hope, he's able to get back on the field here next year or whenever. But Sioux City looked good. They look good all around. I know it's against Amarillo, but that offense, I mean, they were a lot more creative on offense than we've seen them with the jet sweeps and the motions and all the different things. So great to see that for Sioux City. If you go to Southwest Kansas and Louisiana, like 12 points in the first half for Southwest Kansas, I was like, I'm watching this game. I'm like, it's Coach Thomas. Did he take his Zen this morning? Like, why is he not calling the game the right way? But he was able to turn it back up in the second half, and they scored 12 points. Louisiana is another mess. They scored 6 points in the second half as Wilson threw 3 interceptions. But, Steve Walters is taking a really hands-on approach with that franchise, and I expect him to make serious changes going into Amarillo after the bye week. So I expect you could see some coaching changes. You could see some more roster movement. Everything is on the table for Louisiana. In terms of Southwest, man, I mean, they need to do a better job. That offensive line, man, oh, my God. They need to do a better job protecting Struck. I mean, he's getting hit way too much. But the ball release for Struck was a little shaky at times. So I'm kind of confused on why that is, because that's usually his biggest strength is release, right? So what's the disconnect there? But no, I think the running game looked great. Oh my God, I'm blanking there. Running back for Southwest Kansas,
Jaden
Sutton, yeah, Delaware State. Great pickup for them. 4 carries for 38 yards. Dynamic. They added Jelani Baker on the other side of D-Wash. So they had pieces. D-Wash made a couple, drops. I was a little disappointed to see, but he still scored 2 touchdowns. So they look good. But Louisiana has a lot to change. Southwest has a lot to change. Southwest needs to come a far way if they want to be a contender in this league. Far, far, far. But another thing is I'm not even going to reply to this comment right here. But another that's crazy. Another thing is so man, Coach D made me lose my train of thought. What was I gonna say? No, so defense. Yeah, Southwest defense. Jalen Knox, 3 interceptions. Ole Miss. I mean, that was your SEC DB coming alive last night. So that was a good pickup, man. I mean, I've been really critical of Southwest Kansas defense all off season, but I mean, so we say let's see, that yeah, you definitely did. How about the Rue kicking? I mean, look, man, Michael Blair, I think he doesn't prioritize kicking. He prioritizes the offense. He's an offensive guy, and it's biting him in the ass real quick because they don't have a kicker. They cut the kicker earlier this week. They didn't find a good replacement. But Southwest kicker, man, oh my God, where did they find him in the cornfield? Like, he's terrible. So, like, I think Coach Thomas, man, like, shortcuts are crazy. But yeah,
That was awesome. That was hilarious, Krish. Yeah, they probably did find him in a cornfield because I think he is from Dodge City, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Krish needs a
no, they found him at the food bank where they had the preseason meal.
Oh dear Lord! For the record, what I said in the group chat, that was accurate. That was one of the owner's houses. So just so we're all clear. But yeah, man, I don't even know how to transition from that. But Cody, what were your thoughts on the games this last night?
The games were good. I can't top that. I don't know how else to go about that. The one thing I would say is when you look at the scores between these two games, you almost think that they should have been reversed. Like it should have been like Southwest Kansas doing that to Louisiana, or like that would be like the consensus. And then maybe people thought that the game would be closer between Amarillo and Sioux City, and that can be further from the truth. So I mean, every league has their first couple of weeks. I know some leagues have non-league games to kick some things off, but like this is where you start figuring out who the haves and have-nots are. So what you're starting to see here is maybe Southwest Kansas at this point is not nearly as good as we think they are. Maybe Louisiana is not nearly as bad. We still don't know. I mean, there's still some litmus tests out there. And obviously you look at that and say, man, Amarillo is just absolute hot garbage, but was it just a bad week? Can they regroup? Sioux City looks like they're going to hoist a banner. Is it just a 1 week thing because they played Amarillo? I mean, truth be told, I still don't know after just a couple of weeks into this season. We got games tonight and everything like that. So again, probably about week 3, week 4 is when we start figuring out who the haves and have-nots truly going to be.
Completely agree on that.
I need to offer my apologies to the Pueblo Punishers for last week. Hey, I'm apologizing. I'm gonna be a man. You know, y'all played a great game. Y'all surprised me big time. I'm not bought in yet, though. I'm not bought in. You guys still have a long way to go if you want to contend for a championship. So all that talk after week 1, man, let's see you tonight. You know, I came all the way, like 20,000 miles away to watch this tonight. So I get to see y'all in person, and we'll see how good you are. So let's just leave it at that. Don't act like one game is your championship game. So.
Well, that's the story of my life. No respect. No respect.
Just no respect. Pueblo Punishers blow out your MVP, or not blow out, but take a commanding lead early and never let up the entire game. And they still barely get a modicum of respect.
But, honestly, though, they offensively, they showed, they can make plays.
100%.
But so my biggest thing is, for me, for Colorado, they came in that game, and I'm not making any excuses for Colorado, but the fact they didn't prioritize the D-line a little more. I mean, they had 4 healthy D linemen, they had 3 healthy DBs. Like, that defense needs work.
Hi, how are you?
This is funny. Krish had to apologize as he's going to see them today. Didn't know Krish was in Dubai. That's funny. Greetings from Fishers, Indiana. Hey, if you're in Fishers at the game tonight, make sure you go see Off the Wall, our boy Trey. He will be in the arena tonight for the game. So we got, indoor and arena football coverage all over, hitting all these games out there. So definitely make sure you're checking in with all these guys. Trey, how much fish could a fisher's man fish if the fisher's man was in Fishers? Man, I can't even say that, let alone, try and answer it. TJ, what are your thoughts on the game last night? And then we'll get to, some other comments.
Yeah, man. If I think the Amarillo game, number one, broadcast wise, it was great. Their setup looks phenomenal. Again, we discussed it. We've discussed it during the off season. I think one of the owners even touched on it. How they were going to have to win the fan base back over because they've been burned a few times. The arena wasn't completely empty, but it also wasn't filled up either. But I'm assuming that that's probably going to get a little bit better the more games they play, the more that they show that they are here to stay. Again, their setup was professional, their uniforms were clean, so they do not appear to be a team, kind of hanging on the brink. So that should give fans some reassurance as well. I think if Shaw doesn't go down or super early in that game, it isn't as much of a one-sided game as it was. I don't think Amarillo is necessarily that bad, but again, the Bandits, man, they proved that they are one of the better teams because they didn't let up. They just continued to stomp them down, basically. The Louisiana game, it's kind of like what Cody said, is it one team isn't as good as we thought they were, or is it one team isn't quite as bad? I'm thinking the Storm are still a very strong team. I did not in any way, shape, or form take them off of my mental playoff bracket because I think they are a playoff team this year. But I think Louisiana is better than people are giving them credit for. Last week went into overtime. Last night, one score game. They're on the brink. They just can't seem to get out of their own way. So now it's from this point on in a 2-game snapshot moving forward. Do they progress, get better, and start to stack a couple wins potentially, or do they start to slide off and the losses get worse scoreboard wise? That's something to watch for. But I truly, at this point in a small snapshot, don't think Louisiana is quite as bad as a lot of people are not giving them credit for, I should say.
I don't think they're bad, but one thing I'm concerned about is Southwest D-line, man. I mean, Jamel Wayne, like, what the hell is he doing, But it goes back to the undisciplined behavior, with Southwest. And that starts from last year, too, in a costume game. So they need to be more disciplined.
Yeah, but last night's game too, at the same time, I was thinking to last year, there were a couple games that Southwest Kansas, you felt like they had or they could have had, but they let it slip away. Last night, they did not, though. I felt like it was almost like a little bit of a turning point for them because they got the score to take the lead, they held, and then they ended up being able to control the ball, run out the clock. That's something that they weren't able to do all the time last year, but they were able to do it last night. So I think they've improved personally.
Fair point. Fair points around. Obviously, Krish often has some pretty egregious opinions at some points in time, but I don't think that anything he said about any of the teams is out of question after last night. I think that if you talk to anybody with Southwest Kansas, they're going to tell you there's a lot of work to be done and they've got a lot to improve upon. But let's keep in mind they were playing their first game versus Louisiana's second game, which definitely has some effect. Obviously, Taz Wilson coming in the middle of the week there for Louisiana was big for them. I think they got a lot better play out of the quarterback position, even though he did throw the interceptions. He was under duress all night. He was there was defenders in his face every play. And honestly, the fact that he even, scored points on offense is kind of impressive if we're being real right now. I think Wilson is going to get better. I think Louisiana will get better as the season goes because much like Krish, I think that there will be some changes as they go on. And maybe it is that they bring in some more out-of-state players as kind of the season progresses and bring in a little bit better talent around guys like Taz Wilson, Denarius Antoine, Arnell Anderson on the defense, stuff like that. So as far as
what I said earlier about Steve Walters, right? This dude moved his whole family from Minnesota to Louisiana. Like, he's not trying to be part of no losing program. So he's going to make the changes. He'll be Jerry Jones if he has to, for sure.
And to be honest, I think that's why you hire a guy like Walters. He comes in, he knows what he's doing, and he's proven that he can help build a winner. So, let's see what he can do in Louisiana. I think we got a long way to go, but I think that can be said about almost every team I've watched play so far this season for any league so far. So with that being said, we can kind of transition over. We got 2 more games coming up tonight, but then I also wanted to speak a little bit on my experience at the Punishers game, but we'll save that for the end here. But let me pull up the schedule. I know tonight we've got Omaha and Pueblo. As mentioned before, Krish has to do some apologizing in person tonight, potentially. Some of the guys that he had predicted to be on a poor team this year happen to know him quite well, so I'm sure that'll be
not even that, the cut list. My cut list looking bad. Only 3 out of 9 guys got cut, so I gotta kind of bite a bullet on that. But
hey, man, to be fair, you admitted it, right? So it wasn't the greatest cut list, but at the same time, whatever. Early preseason predictions, right? Not everything's going to be right. But we also have Colorado versus Dallas, and there's a little bit of extra wrinkle to that game as Colorado has picked up the kicker that kicked the first quarter for Dallas last week. So that kind of adds a little bit extra spice to this matchup. So with that in mind, Krish, before you have to get out of here, man, what are your thoughts on these 2 games tonight? What do you expect out of the Pueblo and Omaha game as well?
So I'll start with Dallas. Let's start with them, man. We haven't really seen much. By Team Mexico last week, that's not really a good showing. But with Paxton Lynch, I thought he played great. And I mean, I think, he made mistakes when they dropped all 8 in coverage. That was a terrible throw by him. But other than that, man, he played a great game. And, Omaha had some great receivers. But Colorado, man, they got the best receivers in the whole league. Alexis, Stephen Newbold, Brissett Woodley, Brian Robinson. And then you had Bren Michael from Bay Area. So, I mean, they got pieces all over the field. Then they got Devontae Jackson, who proved that he can be a threat, a receiving threat out the backfield. So they got players all over the field, and I expect a big game from Paxton Lynch. I expect him to go out and throw 5 to 7 touchdowns tonight. I think he's going to do great. I think Colorado will win this game. It'll be a bounce back moment for them. I think they'll win by 50, honestly. Honestly, I don't think Dallas has much. I think Dallas is a semi-pro team. We just haven't seen that yet. We'll see that tonight, though. But Pueblo, let's see. Pueblo, Omaha. So the biggest thing tonight for that is going to be who can run the ball more efficiently. Whichever team can start a rushing attack, because I know Solo is going to lean on Joel Shaw a lot, but Omaha D-line is too good to run against. So they're going to have to establish some sort of passing attack down the field, right? And so that's where Aaron Dilworth is their biggest receiving threat. And Pat McSweeney, I want to see Pat McSweeney get involved in the middle of the field more. I think he's a big threat in the middle of the football field. But I think Omaha will come out, victorious. I really do. I really do believe this. I think this is a new environment for Pueblo. It's highly emotional. This game, I'll be completely honest, 100% transparent. This game is bigger for Omaha than it is for Pueblo. Pueblo can lose this game and be fine. They play Dallas and Louisiana next, and then they play Sioux City at home. So they can essentially, I looked at their schedule. Honestly, I'll be completely honest. If Pueblo loses all their toss-up games, they'll still finish 5-5. So 5-5, I think, is good enough to get you in the playoffs. Omaha, though, I mean, Omaha's standards are a lot more higher, right? Standards. So, I mean, they play tonight against Pueblo, and God forbid they lose, they go on the road and play Salina and Southwest back-to-back, and then come home and play Sioux City. So, and then Colorado after the bye. So it's like they got to win tonight. They got to start off on the right foot. Demery Croft has to prove that he's, because I think he's a below-average passer and a great athlete, but he has to prove that tonight. He has to prove to me that, hey, I can be a good passer in this league. So it starts tonight. But give me Omaha. It's going to be a low-scoring game, man. It's going to be – I'm expecting a good defensive battle. Give me 33 – I'll go 33-20.
And you're picking Omaha?
Yeah.
Okay. Cody, what are your thoughts on the two games tonight?
For Pueblo and Omaha, it's kind of like what we've touched on. You've played a couple of games of Pueblo. Now they get to go up against Omaha. Is Omaha the buzzsaw that they have been for years and years and years? Is this a turning point? I'm not so sure. I think Omaha can win this game. To Krish's credit, I think it could be a lot closer than some people think. I could be more low scoring as teams trying to feel each other out. I know Omaha's played their non-league preseason, but at the same time, I just don't know. I think Omaha can win this game. I just don't think it's going to be a blowout. As for the other one, I don't know, man. Dallas, they look good in their non-league game, but this is not a non-league game, man. So I can see them falling on their face.
I'm going to be 100% honest, and this is going to sound crazy. This is a hot take too, because I'm kind of fired up this morning.
You don't say.
I love Coach Shaw, like that's my boy, but if they lose, man, that he's not getting back on the bus. I'm just being honest. Like you cannot go down to Dallas. This is a must-win game for Colorado. Must win. Yo, you went into Pueblo last week, and we all thought. I mean, I thought they were gonna get. I thought Colorado would wreck Pueblo by 20. And then you lost that game. Come on, man. Like, you had an offensive coach calling defense, dog. Like, James Terry never called defense in his life. And he dialed it up. So,
Well, let's keep in mind that Terry wasn't – yes, he was calling plays on the field, but he was not necessarily the coordinator, right? Everything was already installed, from Tay, obviously. And I'm not taking anything away from Terry, because I think for the fact that he had never called a defensive game before, he did a great job. But at the same point, I think you're taking a little bit away from the team if you're strictly saying that that was all on Terry. Like they have a lot of good talent on that defense, and the defense played really well throughout the game. So I think that we should, give a little bit more credit to that defense for sure. But on that note, TJ, what are your thoughts on the two games tonight? And then we'll get on to some other topics.
I feel like what Krish said is kind of spot on for Omaha. I think it is a big game specifically for the Beef. If they win, then everything's going good. I honestly think it's going to be a little bit closer than he's giving it credit. But I think ultimately they do pull the game out. But man, the Punishers, I'll tell you, after last week's game, I was instantly nervous about this game tonight because they really showed that they had a lot against Colorado. So I think it's going to be a down to the wire game. May even come down to a final possession or two in the game. But I do think Omaha, obviously as a fan, I'm biased, but I think the Omaha Beef are going to pull it out in the end. On the other side, man, this may be a must win for Colorado after dropping a league game last week. You drop a league game again this week if the Bulls pull the upset off, and all of a sudden in a 10-game season you're 0-2. So this is also kind of a must win for Colorado. For Paxton Lynch, he had a good showing last week, his first ever arena indoor experience. But now tonight, does he build off it? Does he look better? I think he's going to look better. I think he's going to be more improved, and I think Colorado gets a win. Probably it's probably going to be a 1-2 score game throughout. And then I think Colorado puts like a finishing stomp on it like at some point in the fourth quarter to win it that way. But yeah, two must win games for the two teams that you may not think are must wins, in my opinion.
And I want you guys to understand and kind of see one thing too. Paxton Lynch threw the ball 32 times last game. That's them committing to an air raid style of offense. If they're throwing the ball 32 times in his first start, like I can see them averaging 35 pass attempts the rest of the way. But they got a great running game. They gotta lean on that offensive line. Will open up holes for Jackson. He had over 100 all-purpose yards. They need to lean on the running game a little bit tonight and take pressure off him to open up those deep balls that they want to throw. But one other thing too, tonight's Omaha game is going to come down to what I said, whichever team can run the ball. But Pueblo's offensive line, I mean, they're beaten. I mean, Jeff Luck playing offensive line, like he does have experience, but they only have 3 offensive linemen coming in this game, going against the Omaha defensive line that has 5 guys and that rotates consistently. So we'll see if that plays a factor down the line too.
No, I think that's a great point. I think that is going to play a factor. I mean, when you can keep your defensive line fresh, you can keep effective pass rushers on the field throughout the game. And then you have a lack of depth on the other side of the offensive line, you could definitely wear those guys out real quick.
It was almost like last week, though. Sam Hammond, I mean, you were at the game. You saw he got a little dinged up in the first quarter. He wasn't the same after that. But Tyrell Thompson, I mean, he played one hell of a game. So
he did. They really changed the dynamic of the offense after their preseason game where it looked like they were getting a little pressure through. But I will say there's still room for improvement on that Pueblo line. Like I mentioned, in my post-game interview with Josh Hollins, there was a lot of different times where he would have to roll out and find a throwing lane, and he did it with perfection, damn near. I mean, he was 19 of 23 on the day, 5 touchdown passes, 1 interception, over 225 yards passing, I believe, and ran a couple times as well. He's a guy that I think, he's hitting the stride of his career where, like I mentioned in that interview, the game has really slowed down for him. So I think he feels comfortable there in Pueblo. I think he understands that he's the guy. Brandon Kyles is no slouch behind him, so he definitely cannot, have too long of a leash there. But at the same time, I think that he proved in week 1 he can be the guy, especially because he gets to play, in front of family and friends. I literally, when I pulled him aside to do his interview, he literally said, "Hold on, give me a second. I have to go say goodbye to my mom before she leaves." So I imagine that to him is more valuable than anything he's experienced prior to this in any stop prior. So very excited for Pueblo finding their first win. As Krish said, I went there with the expectation that Colorado is a very, very talented team and could very well beat Pueblo, and Pueblo came out and proved a lot of people wrong.
And I will say this, look, and this is no slight at anyone. I mean, AD, like those over-the-wall touchdowns were amazing. AD, my boy's going to do what he's going to do. But at the end of the day, like, you got to run the ball in the end zone this game, right? Like, they had a chance. They were 56-39, and Solo decided to dial it up from the 3-yard line, and Hollins threw a pick. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that, man, you got to run the ball because these DBs for Omaha are experienced, right? Ponce, Trey Dudley-Giles, Chris Perry, like, all these guys have played this game before. So if AD's one-on-one with TDG, who's played forever, it's going to be a different matchup than him being one-on-one with Steven Newbold or Brian Robinson, someone who never played the DB position before. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong, and that was definitely a factor in that secondary. And there were some blown passes and blown coverages in for Colorado that led to some of the touchdowns that Hollins threw.
I mean, I will ask you this: how much separation was McSweeney getting per route? You would say was he getting good separation, or was it close?
I don't think with him it was much separation. It was just the ball placement a lot of the times. Hollins was throwing the ball in front of him on a crossing routes or, stuff like that. He was coming across the middle and he would get a step on a guy or just body him out or whatever it may be. And let me tell you, like from seeing McSweeney up close, he does not look like a tight end. He looks like a wide receiver. But anyway, we're not going to spend a ton more time on all that. Did want to pull up a couple pictures. You guys probably have seen some of this stuff. Coach Shaw politely asking for offensive pass interference in the end zone after one of the touchdown passes, and the ref saying, I can only call what I see, man, which I thought was very funny. Here's me with Commissioner Brandon Eichard. Those Pueblo Punishers helmets are awesome. I love them. I think that was, obviously the Spartans, I've talked a lot about them. I love the way their jerseys and stuff look. Here's Josh Hollins, nice and up close before the game and warm-ups. Paxton Lynch barking at some kids that were right next to us. It's funny how quickly my opinion of Lynch changed because early in the game, he was yelling back and forth with these kids, and these kids were heckling him the entire game. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, he yelled at him, and I was like, man, this guy is entitled. It comes off the wrong way. And then, later on in the game, right before halftime, he comes over and he's dapping up all the kids and, he's asking them if they're having a good time and just being like the nicest guy in the world after these kids have done nothing but call him a bum all game. So immediately my opinion of him changed, and I got to have a conversation with him after the game. And I can see why Krish is such a big fan after his interview. He is a pro's pro. He's very humble. A very nice guy, very respectful, does not act like he's bigger than the moment or anything like that. So it was awesome to kind of see that from him.
Yeah, and a lot of people think, I talked to him 30 minutes after our interview too. Like a lot of people think he's coming in and not taking this seriously. I know he wants to win a championship badly. He's putting everything into this, and you saw that. First game, 5 touchdowns. He's just gonna build and get better. I promise you.
Yeah, 100%. And I thought it was interesting too. You asked him in your interview if he was going to be willing to run the ball, and he showed that right away. He was not afraid to scramble. He was not afraid to bail out of the pocket when he needed to and try and find a passing lane. And I think he took some chances in the passing game that maybe he might not, moving forward. But I think a lot of it. I think his performance for his first game in arena football was very admirable, to say the least. So as far as that goes, like I said, we're not going to spend a ton more time on it. Just really wanted to shout out the Pueblo Punishers. That game day experience was great. The crowd was invested. They were loud. They were making noise all game long. And more importantly, one of the things that I like the most is that the merchandise, I just pulled up some pictures there, but they had every piece of merchandise you could possibly imagine. And now they're getting trading cards, which was one of our topics for today. So just another thing added to Pueblo for them there. And they seem to just have, they just get it. They looked like a team from the arena experience that had been doing this for years, not a team that was hosting their first regular season game. So,
and I will say I've noticed the growth, in the coaching too. Solo when he first started in Wichita, man, he ran a zoo, an unprofessional program, but he's come over to Pueblo, man, and you can tell like he's growing as a coach. So it's good to see. But, obviously that comment this week was, I felt like he took 2 steps back when he had to add that little slight at the beef at the end. But no, I just feel like it's going great. The fan base is embracing the team. You love to see it. You said it was what, like 60 to 70% full or something like that?
I would estimate about 60%. Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit over that because of the way the arena is oriented. So I think some of the seats were closed off and weren't going to be used no matter what. But I could be wrong on that. And that was something that I never asked Lisa. So please don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think overall, I was very impressed for the amount of fans that were at their first game. And I think after getting that win and the way they came out, the production value, everything you can possibly look at from a fan's perspective, I think it came out and did what the league needed it to do and what the Punishers needed it to really grab a foothold there in Pueblo. First game, 60% capacity. I think really that the sky's the limit down there if they can continue this. So
before I go, though, I'll give my 2 IFL picks because I know the spreads off the top of my head. Indy plus 8.5. Lock it in. Bet your house on it. It's plus 8.5. Don't be like Trey off the wall, not betting it because you're scared that someone will get mad at you. So just go ahead and bet it. Put the slip in. For me, I'm sorry, Trey, I had to. But Vegas and Green Bay, man. Hey, Coach D, y'all better win by at least 10 points, man. I got Vegas winning 51-37. I don't think Liam Thompson will be able to establish a pass attack against that D line, in my opinion. So I like Vegas minus 1.5. I think that's a steal. I think you all should lock that in. I'm staying away from the spread. 94. I might stay away from 94. Still too high for me. If you're gonna bet something, bet the under. But yeah, bet Vegas and Indy. Lock it in, parlay it. That's it.
Krish is a funny man. Yes, he is.
But he's out in Indy, man. I gotta give him credit. Like he really put his money where his mouth is. So he went out there and good for him, man. It's good to see. I better see him in Orlando this year too.
I have a feeling you'll be seeing a lot of them down there if you're there.
Did you just say his team? It's not your team?
Nah, he can
join. You're not
join.
a Pirate fan anymore?
No, he can join. He can join the bandwagon if he wants to.
Krish has been saving a seat for him for a while. But Krish, thanks, man, for joining us. I appreciate it. Like I said, I know you're out there in Omaha, so can't wait to see what you come up with out there and what you guys have cooking. So definitely, if you take any pictures, any video, send them over to me. I'll get them posted tonight while you're there. And oh man, TJ's got to jump off here as well. So apparently it's going to be a 2-man show moving forward, but that's okay. On that note, TJ, Krish, thank you guys for your time this morning. Really appreciate you guys hopping on as always. And we look forward to you guys jumping on next week.
Oh yeah, go Beef.
There you go. Trey is a day 1 Orlando Pirates fan. Day 1. He was the first one. I don't know about that. Krish
show Krish Trey's comment.
Make sure you put the lipstick on.
Hey, that was a good one, Trey, man. No, I had to. All love, man. But hey, you're insane, man. But hey, all love. Now I'll see y'all next week. Great show. I'll continue to watch. But Thump City, man. Pueblo, it's gonna be a long night for y'all. So stay on the bus, man. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be fun. So I'm excited.
It's gonna be a great game tonight. We got we got one competitive game and one game that might be a blowout, but we'll find out. But on that note, we're gonna hit a quick commercial break and then we will come back, discuss the IFL. I don't really think we have anything for the AF1 this week, but I will double check the lineup during the commercial break and we will move forward with the rest of the show. So thank you again, everybody who's tuning in, for your support. Also, before we move on, I have not shouted this yet out. So just a reminder for everybody, we are doing a giveaway for a piece of Sioux Falls Storm turf that was played on by the team at one point. And with that in mind, here are the steps you have to follow. Follow Indoor and Arena Football History on TikTok or on Facebook, although the name is slightly switched around, Arena and Indoor Football History and News on Facebook, and find the contest keyword. He's been putting out regular posts with the contest keyword, so definitely make sure you find that. join our mailing list at shadysportsnetwork.com, and then comment the contest keyword live during any episode of Around the Indoor Football World. As mentioned before, we will be keeping this giveaway open for a while, so definitely make sure you're jumping in on that. As of right now, I think we only have 4 or 5 people who have entered, so you have a really good shot if you enter soon. I'm not sure how long we'll keep this open, maybe till the end of IFL season. Not really sure, but we'll figure that out. But as of right now, we have very few people signed up. So if you want to win a piece of the turf, you want to display it in your sports memorabilia case or whatever you may have, highly recommend you enter today. There's also a second way to enter that we introduced last week, and this is just going to be run for a couple weeks. But if you donate any amount of money, I don't care if it's $1, to Sammy Strong Foundation that supports families who are dealing with pediatric brain cancer, get us a screenshot of the picture that it sends you after you donate. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about once you donate. Get a screenshot of that, send it to me via DM on any Shady Sports Network platform, and you will automatically be entered to win. Whether you're signed up for our mailing list or anything else, it does not matter. If you donate to pediatric brain cancer, you deserve to be in our giveaway. So on that note, go toss a couple bucks down on that cause, help them out, and in the meantime, also help us get this giveaway rolling. So on that note, we'll hit that commercial break and we'll be back with IFL.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
All right, we are back to talk about the IFL, which is probably the perfect topic for you and I to be discussing here at the end of the show. Oh, and it looks like we are joined by another special guest real quick. Hopefully he's here to talk about some IFL, though. What's up, CJ? How's it going, man?
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
You on your way to the game?
No, it's a little early for that. Actually meeting Coach Negron and our special guest Krish here for breakfast at one of our partners. So
are you guys going to jump him in? You know, gang culture and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in the, I'm right across the street from this place called No Name Nutrition Market. So, I mean, it just lets you know how rough it is out here in Omaha. So,
well, it's so rough they couldn't even, stick around long enough to get a name. So, I mean, just kidding. Anyway, what do you think about the Omaha Pueblo game tonight? Obviously, I don't want you to, give us any scathing predictions or anything like that. But how have you guys prepared for the game?
I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I talked to Coach Negron about it. It would be nice going forward if the NAL was all on the same schedule, in the sense of like that first week when Pueblo played a preseason game, and if everyone played their preseason game then, so we were all on the same schedule. We have 2 games essentially to watch for Pueblo, and they have our preseason game. But then going into next week, Salina will have our first game and a preseason game, and all we'll have is a preseason game. So I think it'll make it a little bit easier going forward. But as far as tonight, look, Pueblo's a well-coached team. They got good players. They're coming off a really big win for them last week against a team that a lot of people had already kind of crowned as the front runners for a championship this year. So we know they're going to come in. They're going to be fired up. There's some history here with Coach Terry and the Beef, and some of those guys who've played over there have played against Omaha before. So it's going to be a good game. We've got some good stuff in play offensively, defensively, as I expect them to have. I think it's going to really come down to the trenches tonight. Who can get after the quarterback more consistently, who can establish a run game early on. Those things I think will be the difference in the game. And then the outlier or the thing that can be forgotten is who's going to make a play on special teams. Whether it's a big return, whether it's hitting a deuce or an Uno or a Rouge or whatever. I swear it's changed names 4 times, but whose coverage team's going to make plays. I think those are the kind of things that get lost in the game. Starting a team on the -10 or the -5 versus letting them get to midfield. I'm willing to bet there's a lot of statistics that say those drives end up not scoring. So whose special teams is going to make plays tonight? Who's gonna understand that there's going to be ebbs and flows in the game, and just because one good play happens one way doesn't mean the game's over. So I think that's the key to victory tonight. Ride the wave and understand that it's going to be a good game. Like this is a playoff caliber game. So that's kind of my thoughts on tonight.
That is fair. And safe to say you're picking Dallas against Colorado tonight?
I mean, as much as I'd love to see, the world burn and see, like, Krish's face when he sees the score update and Dallas wins, I'm also a realist. I think Dallas has some good pieces in place. I think their receiving core is pretty talented. I don't know how good their offensive line is to hold up against Colorado's pass rush. But I think Colorado wins. I think it might be a little sloppy. Anytime you have to travel in indoor football, it typically you start slow. And Colorado, you kind of saw that a little bit last week. They started a little slow against Pueblo, and that was going an hour and a half down the road. Now they're traveling to Dallas. Their first 4 games are on the road. So I think I still think they take care of business because I think they have a better overall team, but I don't know if it's going to be like what we saw from Sioux City Amarillo last night. Which I do think Amarillo would have been a little bit better off if their quarterback doesn't get hurt in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But I could see it being a 2-score game. Maybe Colorado gets one late and pushes it to 3 scores. We'll see. I mean, I think it's going to come down to coaching and does Colorado bounce back, or do they let one bad game turn into 2 bad games?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't think that's going to be the case tonight, but yeah, like you said, it depends on what they do, with another travel game. So
we need to hit the hard-hitting questions. CJ, if Omaha loses tonight, are you firing yourself?
I mean, look, if I don't know how that works. I don't sign the checks, but look, that's always something that can happen no matter what game you play in. But definitely not going into this game with the thought of losing. So,
are you giving Krish the headset?
Oh man, you
absolutely not. If I do that, I might get fired on the spot.
Can you imagine the obscenity laden speech that Krish would give in before a game? I'm sure it'd be hilarious.
Maybe we should we really want to get the team fired up. We should just put Krish in the middle of the pregame huddle after all the crap he's talked about the certain guys all season.
There you go.
I'll say the 6 guys that made the cut, they just need to just be like, hey, man, what's up?
Yeah.
Have him run the Oklahoma drill with one of them.
Oh, look, when I was talking to David Ross like 3 days ago, he was pumped to see Krish in person.
Great question, Cody. Is Krish picking up the breakfast tab?
I don't know. I mean, take the loss too hard.
We'll see what happens from our group chat for the record.
Okay. No, I mean, maybe we might just dine and dash on Krish. It'd be tough. I think he rode with Coach here, so I don't think we can get too far. We don't want to leave.
Or you could get really far because he doesn't have a car.
Yeah, I mean, but we're 8 minutes from the arena, so I guess he could find his way there and just camp out there.
Probably.
Tell him the game's tomorrow.
Yeah, we had a snowstorm. We're flexing on Monday.
That's a whole nother subject we need to get to as well. So on that note, I can only imagine what Krish is going to tell you guys at breakfast. I'm sure it'll be fun. About
Krish is probably going to come in and try to break some sort of insider scoop. He's going to, because I'm pretty sure he stayed at the same hotel our guys in Pueblo were staying at. So,
oh really?
He's going to do this thing where he's going to talk all this mad ish on here, and then he's going to be like, "Hey guys, how's it going? I really love the Omaha beef. Can I get some free merch?"
Probably. That's probably exactly what it's going to be. Which,
I've been a day one fan.
To be fair, at the end of the day, like, yes, we all have strong opinions. Yes, sometimes we have scathing remarks about certain people and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, we have respect for these people. Krish may not seem like it at some point. So I think that is, it comes off sometimes poorly with the way that he reacts to some things. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, he does have respect and admiration for all these guys that play this game and coach this game, So I think that's part of why he acts a little bit differently in person than he may on the camera. But as far as that goes, I think that Krish is overall cares about everybody that he talks about and stuff like that. So definitely going to be a fun situation for him there tonight against Pueblo, of all teams that he's been talking about all year.
It's going to be a great. I'm excited. I mean, we had a really, Sam, I tuned in a little bit ago. You were talking about like Pueblo's attendance, and I mean, we're probably 70% or so for the preseason game. Which, I mean, preseason games are hit or miss. You never know, how fans are going to react to it. But we had a really good turnout. I'm excited for tonight. When you look up on our single game ticket sale link, it keeps flashing limited seats available. So that'll be exciting. I mean, it's getting to experience my first game day in the Slaughterhouse, albeit a preseason game. It's pretty dang loud in there. So I'll be excited to get our fans in there. They know it's a regular season game. So it'll be exciting. I think it's going to be a really good game this week, and we'll let the chips fall where they may. And speaking of that, here comes Coach and Krish now. So I'm going to hop off here and run to breakfast, but I'll give some IFL picks before I hop off here.
Sounds great.
I am going to go against the grain here. I'm going to go, not going to pick spreads because I don't know what these teams have all across the board yet. So I'm going to go Quad City in a shootout. And then I think Vegas easily covers 10.5.
Oh, wow. 10.5, huh?
10.5, 2 touchdowns.
I think when you're comparing Jaden DeLora to Liam Thompson,
yep.
I think Jaden just has experience. Like, it's a team that is retooled versus a team that's kind of in a rebuild. And it was a perfect storm that got Green Bay to where they were at last year with Mailer and Clark, and they bring back a lot of their offensive line. So I think their trenches are going to be really good. It's going to be how well do the skill positions match up, and I give an edge to that to Vegas. So yeah, I think they'll start a little bit. First game you got to kind of work through some things, but it's hard to bet against the reigning champs to not cover when they're bringing back a MVP.
Something tells me CJ just got a call because his breakfast guests have arrived.
Krish
So
got
on
you.
that note, I think we'll transition over because we have yet another surprise guest this morning. However, this is of the IFL vein, so we can transition over to the IFL finally. Coach Davis, how's it going this morning?
What's up, guys?
Green Bay by 50.
Joining us. What?
No, that's a Green Bay by 50.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Okay. That's hilarious.
So Krish did have his breakfast date. I called it.
Yeah, which I'm not surprised at all that that's exactly why he has to get off, of course. But, it should be kind of funny for him to be in the arena in Omaha today. But obviously, you joined us at a great time. We were about to transition over to the IFL anyway. And, one of the big pieces of news that came out this weekend is obviously your game has been flexed. So, I mean, how bad is the weather out there in Green Bay?
Currently, it's sunshine and blue skies.
Really?
Yeah, but they're not supposed to. It's supposed to start snowing tonight about 7:00, and they're saying somewhere between 20 and 30 inches in a 24-hour period.
So what you're saying is you could play the game outside right now. We can just get it going.
Literally, we got to Green Bay last night at 6 p.m. and there was kids playing on the turf right here at Lambeau last night.
That's funny. That's funny. But I mean, hey, that's, weather. Like, what can you do about it? It wouldn't surprise me at all if you do have like 2 feet of snow by Monday, just given Wisconsin. But
yeah. Well, it was tough. We actually we flew yesterday morning at 6 a.m. Because we were flying into Green Bay, and we landed in Detroit and got the notification, hey, we're looking at potentially pushing the game. And I was like, so we had a 2.5-hour, 3-hour layover. And so like I go to the Delta people. I'm okay, listen, what's this going to cost us? How is this going to work? And it worked out great for us, right? We were going to be fine regardless. We're staying at probably the nicest hotel in Green Bay. It's called the Lodge Kohler. I'm literally looking out the window overlooking Lambeau. So it's, the sites are great. And Green Bay's been great. Ryan and Kathy and Corey Roberson, they've been, hey, what can we help with? Because you're staying an extra day. So we didn't give the guys per diem for an extra day. Okay, I'll pay for this. Okay, well, team, we have sponsors. And I just met with the GM here at Lodge Kohler. That's where I was when I got off from Krish, and when I was giving Krish a hard time, I should say. And they're so accommodating, right? Obviously, they're expecting, 20 inches of snow. So what do you do?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, this is a tough situation for everybody involved, of course. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got to kind of roll with the punches. And I think the IFL made the right decision to push the game a little bit, especially if safety's involved. So kudos to them. And, obviously, if there's 2 feet of snow on the ground, it's going to be real hard for fans to get there. So I'm sure that was part of the motivation. So, I mean, obviously smart move by them all the way around. And let's hope, if anything, a couple extra days of selling tickets doesn't hurt the attendance. And, if anything, they can pack the house on Monday and have a really good showing for week one.
Kathy, they do a great job up here anyway with fans. But what people don't see is on the football side of things is we have a bye week next week. So it didn't matter to us. But Green Bay plays Fishers next week. So now you lose out on 2 more days of rest or prep, and Fishers plays tonight. So they're sitting back watching the game Monday. Okay, they'll have 1 day less to prep, but they got 2 days of health and 2 days of rest. So I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't see when these decisions are made is how does this affect teams going forward, and obviously it's week 1, so you have a chance to get healthy, and you got bye weeks coming. But I mean, for us, thank goodness we have a bye week coming up, just because it would have been a nightmare to get home Tuesday night because our flight's at 4:30 on Tuesday afternoon. to go back to Vegas. So for us, it gives us time to get out. But you get back Tuesday, you get back Wednesday. If you had to play on Saturday, I mean, that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So Cody earlier this week, speaking of Green Bay, caught that on Strictly Bliznius they were talking about some roster changes. So Cody, I figured I'd let you kind of lead into that, explain the expansion, and we can ask Coach Davis about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty much they said that you can get another roster spot. For the longest of time, it used to be 25 players on your roster, on your active roster, no short-term, long-term injured reserve or anything like that. 25 active players, and then you suit up 21 of them for your game days. So now that's been extended by one player, so now you get 26 active with 22 able to suit up. And again, that's not including any short-term, long-term, RTR, anything like that. So adding another player, which means, hey, there's more money coming in that you get to pay another player. So that shows you the health of the league and shows like, hey, that's an extra player for 14 teams. Money's coming in, man. It's making us.
Well, yes, the 22-man active roster is correct, Cody. That's correct.
Oh, is it still 25?
It's still 25-man active roster, though.
It's
just a 20. It's just a 22-man game day roster.
Okay, so you can suit up an extra player. So I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you still have the same roster. Obviously, you're allowed up to 4 short-term IR spots. And then you figure out, for us, we always dress the same way, so it gives us another little more roster flexibility. Do you want to dress an extra DB, a skill guy, a big guy? Like, who knows what your needs are week in and week out.
Right.
So it just gives you, when you get ready to say, and I know you hate overnight and stuff like that, but trust me, it's going to be a great platform. But when you, okay. So when you add in Yahoo Sports and overnight, what do you do if you go in with 3 O linemen and you don't have a D lineman that can cross train and play the O line?
Right.
Right. The product is terrible. It's just like some teams who dress one quarterback. Well, if your quarterback goes down, you're terrible.
Yeah.
Now, for the sake of the business, most people's starting quarterback goes down. Most teams have a backup quarterback because he's a backup for a reason, right? Last year we were fortunate enough to have two starters, right? Obviously, Jaden's takes over. It's Jaden's team now. It is what it is. So, in the last, and this is an interesting stat. I think the last 5 championship teams, they've played 2 quarterbacks for multiple games. Like they've had a different starter. They hadn't had the same starter for the whole season.
Yeah, you probably have to go back to Massachusetts with Alejandro Benefield, right?
But at that point, Benefield actually broke his jaw.
That's right, yeah.
So it would actually be Drew Powell in Iowa way back.
That's right, yeah.
So that's why people, some people are like, oh, we don't have, you can't keep a comparable backup. That's not true. Like you have to understand how to spin it and how your situation works, because everyone's situation is different.
Do you agree, disagree in a sense, kind of like what Green Bay did? It's not like Green Bay invented this, but like I mentioned this in the preview for Fishers in Quad City. Felix Harper's the only quarterback on the roster for Fishers, but they do have Jordan Davis, who's been kind of a quarterback wide receiver hybrid. They kind of had that last year with Max Myler and TJ Davis. And I mean, other teams have kind of done that now. You look at Rudy Johnson at San Diego. Is that becoming more of a thing where obviously the name of the game is play as many positions as you can, but at the same time, is it more or less like, hey, do you want that specified backup quarterback that's been a quarterback, or are you okay with having like your wide receiver athlete style player?
I think it depends on your team and your situation. Like most quarterbacks that become receivers or position players do that because they're not great quarterbacks. Can they be sufficient? Yeah, you can do some package stuff from them, right? But you can't. Most guys who transition, they do that because they're not great at quarterback for one reason or the other. And then those guys, like the kid from Wofford, that the Davis kid that Dixie and them have in Fishers, he's a stud, right? And he's transitioned, but he's very similar to TJ Davis. Could he get you through a game? Yes. Would it be longevity to keep you through a great season? I don't think so. And that's where you have to pick your poison. Do you, like Rudy Johnson Love Rudy to death, but Rudy was pretty much a one-trick pony, and we lost to him. No disrespect to him, right? But hey, I'm 85% run or I'm 85% pat. Like, what do you want to defend? So again, it comes down to, to each his own and what's your preference as far as your team and how your teams run. And I mean, Sam does it, deals with it with Southwest and stuff like that. Like you have to construct your team in certain ways that you feel that if somebody went down, who's going to back them up or who's going to step in, and you're not going to have just a landslide of drop off.
That's fair for sure. And actually, I'm glad that you guys brought up Jordan Davis, because I think he's a player there for Fishers, and I think he's going to be a good asset for them, assuming Felix Arbor ever has any sort of injury issues. But I'm actually very excited to see Harper with a full season as a starter there in Fishers. I think with him and Wooten, he's going to be a quality player for them this year. So it'll be very interesting to see. So obviously there's been a lot of news that came out from the IFL this week. And one of the pieces of information that came out was this new Capelli merchandise partnership. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it seems like just another feather in the cap of the IFL this offseason.
Yeah, I got a little hoodie, a little warm up for him. So Capelli has actually been around forever. Obviously, they're well known as far as the soccer world and things like that. The quality of the product is fantastic. So for them, it's just another situation where you can get good quality merchandise that's going to have team logo stuff on it at competitive pricing. I mean, that's the one thing that Capelli does have is they're super competitive as far as the pricing goes, and the gear is good. So another kudos to them.
That doesn't take away from like Adidas or anything doing the uniforms or anything along those lines, right?
No, Adidas is still our uniform provider and our game day stuff for coaches and players. It's just, what do you want? You want to give the guys some more gear to kick around in or to wear or to travel in, and like we have a travel suit. It's not from Capelli because we had it done before the Capelli deal was announced, but it's just, it all depends on how are you taking care of your guys.
Speaking of taking care of your guys, did that package ever get sent to TJ? Or are we just
the package is out? Actually, when I saw him on there, I was gonna put a tracking number in the comments, but I figured I'd wait to do that.
Oh, that was awesome, Cody. I was not even gonna. Totally didn't even think to ask that. That's hilarious.
I said last week, I was like, we just need to make it a weekly thing where Coach Davis just comments going, "Hey, your package is out this week, I promise." And it just never gets sent.
Complete transparency, this is what happened, right? So I had gear, and then I only had certain sizes. Well, I didn't have any more extra large stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'll just wait till some new stuff comes in, and then so now that everything's in and I got everything out, it's he'll be taken care of. He'll be taken care of for the wait. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, geez, like he needs anything extra. Homer here on the show for us. But no, anyway, I'm sure he'll be very appreciative of that. He was like, man, what did I do wrong? And I was like, dude, I'm sure you didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry. Like, if he deals with Krish, I'm sure you didn't upset him at all.
You can deal with anybody. You deal with Krish, you can deal with anybody.
Exactly.
Hey, what's the chances Krish doesn't make it out of Omaha today? That's the real question.
I think the Pueblo players are going to just dangle him by his ankles and shake him for his lunch money, man.
Well, I mean, Solomon is in the chat, so maybe he missed what Krish said earlier, that he was going to be in Omaha today, but now he knows. So, it'll be nice and prepared for him there. And apparently he even stayed in the same hotel as Pueblo, maybe. So that's kind of crazy. So might be kind of dangerous for him up there, especially with all that gang activity in Omaha and all.
Yeah, it's terrorizing up there.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, shit, we're talking to somebody who knows better than anybody, right? Spent years in Nebraska.
Yeah, whatever. Gang activity.
Grand Island and Omaha are two completely different places.
People forget I coached for the Bee for 2 years, for 2 seasons.
Sure.
Then you can attest to that, though. Grand Island and Omaha are two completely different.
100%. No questions asked. No doubt about it. That's easy. So, but anyway, Sam, I'm gonna jump off. Hey, call me when you're done with the show. I got some stuff for you. Okay. And then who you got tonight? Let me ask.
As far as Southwest Kansas?
No, I saw y'all play last night. Quad City Fishers.
Yeah. Yeah, that should be a great game. I got Quad City. I think I'd have to look back at my article. I have you guys winning 56-42, I believe. And I damn near predicted the line that DraftKings came out with. I had you guys at a -1. I think I had Fishers projected a -3 because they're the home team, but I was off on that one. Quad City -8.5, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, damn.
Steam Wheelers.
I mean, I know we got the homer Cody over here, but that's 8.5 is crazy work.
It is a crazy line. I said that in my preview. Go check it out. Shameless plug. -8.5 is crazy, but Fishers is going to be good, man. They're going to be so good. I can't go against Quad City though. I can't go against my team. But like I said in my preview, I think Fishers has every single aspect, offense and defensive line. If they can get that rolling, Fishers can win this game, and they can actually win it pretty well, like 10 points. I mean, I put nothing away from them. Like Quad City can go and make this thing. I'm worried about Quad City's offensive line. I know they bring back Crowell, but who they're breaking in, we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a trial by fire for sure.
I mean, we sent them a pretty good one in Ed Gatling.
Yeah. And then they've got Lionel Livingston over there too. So, I mean, when I say I'm worried, it's not like they're going to fall flat on their face or anything like that. What I'm saying is, like, can they do it for 4 quarters? That's how it's going to be for me.
It's going to be one up front. I can promise you that. Whoever wins is going to have a better game up front.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Fishers is massive up front. You got a couple of those guys from Mass, like,
And then, special teams is going to be huge. You lose Kyle Kaplan, who hit so many deuces, was very, very accurate, all things considered. They bring back Colin Sutherland.
Jan is a dude now.
I got to see it. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not holding my breath necessarily. I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but if he can do what Kyle Kaplan did, oh, yeah, I'll go get a Jan jersey.
I'm going to say his leg is stronger than Kyle Kaplan's.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, accuracy is having a big leg is Ben Derby's probably got the biggest leg in the league, right? Strength wise, him and Andrew Mevis. But that doesn't always translate.
Right.
So it's, but at least he'll have the ability to produce and kick him. So
Krish says he's coming to Vegas next if you guys don't win. I don't know what that means, but he'll come say hi or something.
He might be hiding in Vegas.
That's fair.
Like after this Omaha Pueblo game, but
we'll see.
Exactly.
He's got to go into witness protection for gangs.
Krish is not allowed to come to Vegas until he's of age.
That's fair. He's got a couple more years then.
Exactly. We're safe for a few.
There you go. There you go. Well, definitely thank you. Appreciate you
guys
coming on, and I definitely didn't expect it. So definitely, like I said, appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Not a problem. Likewise. All right, guys.
Have a great one. Man, see that's what's kind of cool about this show. You just never know who's going to pop on. We didn't know Mike Davis or CJ were going to hop on. So kind of cool that we got 2 coaches on at a whim, with the fact that they're both playing games this weekend to kind of kick off their season. So that's really cool. Appreciate both of them for jumping on. That's what you get here. We have a very good support system inside some of these leagues, as you can tell, and we're very appreciative of all the coaches and people who take some time to hop on here and talk with us. So thank you to Coach Davis, thank you to CJ, thank you to Coach Higgins as well. But now we can get to possibly the funnest part of the show for everybody here, the betting segment. As Cody alluded to a couple minutes ago, this spread on the Quad City Fishers game, we talked about it just a little bit. You said, in your opinion, hammer that money line or that spread for Fishers. Why do you say that? What's your thought process here?
So, again, shameless plug. Go check out my preview on In the Alley. It's the reason I'm on here, not just to plug my stuff, because I also know ball sometimes. For Fishers, they do have a huge offensive line. They bring back, LaQuinston Sharp, Daryl Simmons. But they also bring in Navon Donaldson and Dante Lucas, former Massachusetts Pirates, former Tulsa Oiler Kerry Reynolds. That offensive line is going to be huge. We also know that defensive line for Fishers is going to be tenacious as well, man. Like what Fishers has in the trenches could determine how this game goes. Excuse me. we know the two-headed running attack that Josiah King and Dominic Roberto are able to do with running the ball. This game's going to be close. This game's going to be closer than some people think. This could also, and I said it in my preview, this could be like how I see it going one of two ways. Either it's a very close, low-scoring game, or the defenses are on a learning curve, and we're going 40, 50 points here for either side. So for me, I'm leaning more towards that barn burner because who doesn't love points? But for me, it's like I think both these teams can run the ball very well. But when you start getting into that second half, whatever adjustments, when you get to that third, fourth quarter, is Quad City's offensive line going to wear down having two rookies on it? You know, how good is Fisher's in the trenches? Their secondary is rebuilt. We know Quad City's secondary is rebuilt. How well can you stop the passes? Because we know these teams will take deep shots as well. They will lull you to sleep at the run, then they will hit some pop passes. We know they've got some deep threats with VC, Kean Williams. We know about Kean Williams. But we also know on the Fisher side, they did bring in CJ Wyndham from Vegas. They do bring back JT Stokes. I mean, and that's not to say Isaiah Coulter can't, go out and play his ass off too, but this is going to be a very, very fun game. This is one of the there's only two games. I'm not going to say it's the best game of the weekend just yet because we'll see, but this should be a very entertaining game, a very good game to kick off the season with.
I agree. I think both of these games to kick off the season for the IFL were very intelligently picked. Quad City looks to be a playoff contender on paper right now. Fishers, same thing. Vegas, same thing. Green Bay, same thing. So on that note, I feel like if you were going to kick off the season with games that you wanted fans to be excited about, to good games that are going to be highly competitive, you really couldn't pick four better teams to kick off the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, and from what they've done the last couple of seasons, I think Quad City or Green Bay has kicked off the first week because they normally have about 2 games in week 1. They've kicked it off every single year for the last couple of years. And what they're doing this year with the Hall of Fame game where they're including, I think in Strictly Business, Kathy said that they have after the first quarter, they're inducting or doing the ceremony for Bazemore and Roland for the IFL Hall of Fame. So if they're able to do that every single year, kind of like what the NFL does, where it's always the Thursday kickoff with the defending champs or whatever, that's a really cool thing. I know I've mentioned that before. I can't remember if it was on this show or not as well, but to have the Hall of Fame game be one of your first week kickoffs, and if it's a rematch of last year's championship or whatever the case could be in the years moving forward, that's a huge thing too. I think that's a big thing where it's hey, you don't have your quote Thanksgiving game, but if you've got Quad City or Green Bay kicking off week 1, that's kind of your quasi Thanksgiving. They always kick off week 1, and then you have your Hall of Fame game. I think that's actually a really cool way to go about it, where it's your fans know you're kicking off week 1. Other fans know that we don't kick off till week 2 or week 3. And that's how it's a really cool way how they kind of schedule it. You want more games, obviously, but I like how they do it.
I think it's okay. I mean, I think from a league perspective, you look at it this weekend kind of, for lack of a better term, wets the palate of the fans, right? They're here's your little bit of a taste of indoor football after the whole off season's been off, for our league. You get to that little bit of a taste, and then it leaves you wanting more and more, the future weeks. So it's kind of it works you in a little bit slow. And then at the same time, you're man, I wish there were more games this week. And then, we're right back into the season next week. So I kind of like how they set it up this way. And like you said, I obviously would not turn down more games for the kickoff weekend, because it'd be cool to have a game on Sunday this week, which we do not have in either the NAL or the IFL. But thanks to that IFL game being flexed, we have a game on Monday. So we had one on Friday, we have a few today, and then we also have one on Monday, which is kind of cool, but it would have been awesome to have a Sunday game as well.
And we got back-to-back Monday games because this game got flexed, and then the week after it's is it San Diego, Northern Arizona? I think they kick it off on that Monday too. And then you've got Saturday and Sunday games next week for the IFL as well, if I'm not mistaken. So really cool way to do it.
Awesome. I'll have to look at the NAL schedule and see if we've got a Friday game next week as well. But I wanted to do something kind of fun. And, maybe fans who are watching right now won't find it as fun as I do. And if you don't, that's cool. No big sweat. I made a couple bets on the IFL last night, but I left some money in my account specifically because I want some suggestions from the people watching. What should I bet on in the IFL? We're writing articles based on our bets. We're going to be doing it weekly. It's going to be called the Shady Sports Network Alternative Betting Guide. It is up right now. I actually dropped that article yesterday before the lines came out for the IFL. So I projected the lines and, gave you my picks that I thought based on just winners of the game because I didn't have the spreads available at the time. But with that in mind, like I said, I had bet my 2 winners that I picked in that article. And I also bet the Fishers spread because why wouldn't you? That just makes a lot of sense. But like I said, I have a little chunk of money left over to take a fan suggestion. So if you're watching right now and you think there's a really good bet that I should put money on, let me know in the chat. We'll go ahead and put some money on it on your, on the fans' behalf. And we'll let you know if we win next week. So I think it would be kind of a little bit of a fun thing to add throughout the season into our betting segments. But, kind of to give you guys an idea, I have Quad City winning. I also have Vegas winning. In my prediction, I think I have Vegas winning by 14. So I just went ahead and took the money line with them, took the money line with Quad City. And then as mentioned before, I took the Fishers Freight spread just because I think all of those are pretty safe bets coming out of this game. But what have you bet on this week, Cody?
Excuse me. So again, in my preview, I bet plus 8.5 for Fishers. I'll go ahead and spoil it because I haven't done the preview for Green Bay and Vegas just yet. I was going to do it tonight after the game, but without getting fluxed, I now have some time on Sunday to get it out there. So I like Vegas minus 1.5 just because of everything they've brought back. And I think you or TJ mentioned it at one point. It's a retooling versus a rebuild. I think Vegas can do that. Now, I don't want to just sit there and say Green Bay is bad because, lest we forget, Green Bay has brought in quite a bit of Bay Area Panthers, and some of those Bay Area Panthers have some championship pedigree to them. So I like with what Green Bay has brought in when it comes to, we'll probably just turn this into a preview between Vegas and Green Bay, but like with this, it's just with what Green Bay's brought in, what they've brought back, I think it's something that they can compete. Surprisingly, I have them in the playoffs. I don't know if they can do it in this game. I don't like the money line's kind of weird to me when they've got the spread the way it is. But at the same time, how many points is Green Bay going to score against Vegas? Vegas' secondary, they lost a lot to the upper leagues. I don't know. Part of me is just like, hey, the safe one's going to be take the spread with Vegas. But if you want kind of a riskier one, I'd almost go under 94.5. I don't think they're going to score as many points. I don't think Green Bay scores 40. I don't think Vegas scores 50. With everything that we have, you can see Vegas winning. They can win convincingly, and it might not even hit that 94. That's a lot of points in the very first week of the season with a lot of players getting acclimated.
Agreed. And I do think that, so I have my favorites in both of these games, but I mentioned before that I think any of the teams playing tonight or this weekend could win. It wouldn't shock me in the world. It wouldn't shock me at all if Green Bay beat Vegas. It wouldn't shock me at all if Fishers beat Quad City. But I think we're in a situation where I think both of those teams, or all 4 of those teams, are well set up to find success. But I do think, you mentioned it. I'll mention it again. When you look at the quarterback situation for all of these teams, you have to kind of wonder, Quad City has Daquan Neal coming back, who started the entire season for them last year. He's also got improved weapons, in my opinion. They've also got Jared Ware returning in the run game. So I think that along with their offensive line returning as well, or much of it returning, at least the key pieces, Joe Crawl, like mentioned before, I think that Quad City is going to be a very talented team. I think they might be one of the best teams in the league, depending on how things shake out this year. So I think that it's hard to sleep on them against Fishers, even though they're on the road, which is why that I said Fishers was the favorite just based on projected betting lines, because I assumed that DraftKings was going to favor the home team. But I think DraftKings also has paid attention to what has been going on in the IFL the past couple seasons, and I think that they're looking at Quad City as a competitor right away, and I think that the line speaks to that. So as far as that goes, I see no problem with anything they put up there. And then in the Vegas game, very similar situation to what you said earlier. Jaden DeLora, has had a full season in that Vegas offense, a full season of coaching from Curtis Chin. He was the guy that they chose down the stretch to take over before the playoffs, and then ultimately, went on to have a really good playoff run. So I think that he has a little bit of an edge over Liam Thompson, who's learning a completely new offense in Green Bay after spending last season as a complete backup in Bay Area and not really seeing the field. So I think there's a little bit of a adjustment path there for him. I think he's going to be better than a quote unquote rookie. But at the same time, I think that Jaden Delore is going to come out and he's going to look like a seasoned quarterback that's comfortable in the pocket and ready to play at a very high level right out the box.
Now, Coach Davis last week did drop a little bit of a nugget in the comments. He did say something like, that's even if Liam Thompson is the starter. So whether he's trolling or not, I mean, in my opinion, I think he's looking at that as Liam Thompson actually going to be the starter. Yes, he only started one game. That's more experience than the other two quarterbacks on the roster. But that's only one game. So is he actually the starter? Is it going to be Brown? Is it going to be Stenstrom? We don't know. So until Green Bay trots that quarterback out there, I'm not necessarily sure who the starter is. Like I said, just based on previous experience and the fact that Liam Thompson was with Bay Area, he did start a game and was a backup the entire time to I'm blanking, Josh Jones. That, he's there. I don't know if that pencils him in automatically. I just base it off prior experience and scheme fit and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, the trenches for Green Bay are going to be nasty. How does that secondary? Green Bay's secondary got raided. Kevin Ransom's over at Quad City. Nigel Canada and Cale Jackson are over at Tulsa. And I can't remember the other one that they lost to. Oh, Mamadou Mbai, I believe, got released. And it's like they've got to redo that entire secondary. And they did bring in Frankie West from Bay Area, but the rest of it's pretty much rookies. That's a recipe for success when you're looking at Phoenix Sproles, when you're looking at Quentin Randolph. I mean, it's it's good.
No, 100%. It looks like we have another surprise guest once again. Gotta love this show. There's a reason why we use a reoccurring broadcast link, and we are joined by Trey of Off the Wall. Trey, you're going to be at the Fishers game tonight, so I imagine you have some thoughts on that one. But how are you doing this morning, man?
I'm good. I was enjoying the program, and then I started getting ricochet shots left and right. I was like, man, I'm just trying to enjoy my venti iced coffee and take in, get the day started. So I was like, you know what? Let me hop in here. Let's have a chat. Let's see what the boys are up to.
What color lipstick are we doing?
Well, sticking to the theme, since I am in Fishers, I'll probably go with a combination of blue and yellow today, maybe a striped pattern. We might get funky. Yeah.
You want coral blue number 5 from SpongeBob?
I think so. Yeah. If you can get that over to me in Fishers, I'll give you the address. That'd be nice.
There you go. There you go. I love it. What color are you requiring Krish to wear, though, is the question.
Krish has got the bright orange to match the turf. I know he already has it picked out. He's got it in his left pocket. He's got it at breakfast right now as he has his phone propped up on his orange juice while Negron and CJ Kane are trying to talk to him and get in his ear. I know he's not having it, but talking on the Fishers game tonight, I agree with Cody. This Fishers team is really, really stacked, and I'm actually at the same hotel as the Quad City Steamwheelers. So I went down to breakfast this morning and ran into Malik Duncan, ran in to a couple folks from Quad City, and they're feeling good. They're loose. They're having a good time. But this environment's going to be electric. And personally, I thought this line coming out probably would have been Quad City -3.5, -4.5, just looking at the team on paper. So seeing that it came out as 8.5, I'm like, man, that's a lot of value in terms of 3.5 to 8.5 is massive. So strictly from a value perspective, I love Fishers 8.5, but I still think Quad City probably wins this one just based on pure talent and everything and how that stacks up. But when you were asking about bets, Shady, I wanted to hop on here and throw a little tidbit at you and just let you ponder it. Okay. Week 1 unders have not lost in the IFL in 3 years.
That's a good thing to ponder on for sure.
Unders in the IFL in 2024 started 8-0. It lasted over 2 weeks before a total hit the over. Last year, I think it was Jacksonville, Mass. It was Green Bay. Whatever combo it was, all the unders hit. So to me, that says that defenses have a little bit better time adjusting out of the gate, and it takes time for offenses to get into a rhythm. So you look at Vegas, Green Bay. I think Vegas won't have a problem getting into a rhythm because you're returning QB1, wide receiver 1, and you're loading up with Offensive Player of the Year and Josh Thomas. You're bringing in Deshaun Sotomayor, right? So you're bringing a ton of talent. I think Vegas holds up their end of the total. I'm not sure Green Bay does the same. So if you're looking at Vegas Green Bay as a total, 94.5 is massive. I probably would have knocked 15 points off of that and still taken the under, just because it takes time for these teams to get adjusted. So I love that 94.5 line.
That's a good thought. I honestly typically do not bet on the over-unders myself, but man, 94.5 points. See, I have them scoring.
Do you see this game going 50-45?
I actually have it at 56-42.
I don't know. That's
like for this game, if it's 94.5, you're asking both these teams to score 47 points and one scoring 48. Just for the over-under for halvesies. Cool. And because it's a 1.5 spread. Like we're asking Green Bay with a new quarterback and a new running back to put up 47 points against the defending national champ. Now, again, like I said, I like the trenches. The offense and defensive line for Green Bay should be very, very good, but that secondary for the Blizzard, I mean, like I said, it's Frankie West and then a bunch of rookies.
Yeah,
that's huge. And I said, if the offense for Green Bay can figure it out a little bit, that secondary is kind of ripe for the picking for what Vegas has lost. But that defensive line for Vegas, it's good. There's a reason why Vegas's defense has been poached for the UFL and the CFL for the last couple of years, man. It's insane.
Gotta respect what Coach Davis does there in Vegas. He definitely has a knack for picking out players that are headed back outdoors, and obviously his connections outside of the IFL don't hurt. He was once a CFL coach, so I'm sure he has a lot of connections up there that help get players looks that they may not otherwise get. But that's kind of the name of the game, and they've done it to perfection over the past couple of years in terms of getting guys there that have that outdoor ability to play in the next level. But so I have to ask then, if we're betting on the unders, do we parlay both of them?
The Quad City Fishers under gives me a little pause.
That's fair.
That's the one where I'm like, oh, streaks are meant to be broken, right? So that if any game is going to do it, it feels like that's the one, just because in Vegas Green Bay, you have a quarterback question for one of the teams. In Fishers Quad City, there is no quarterback question. You're returning guys who ended on a very strong note in 2025. Quad City, 1 or 2 plays away from being in the IFL National Championship game, right? So it seems like both of these offenses are probably going to have it a little bit easier of a time getting established and getting into a rhythm, just because it's a lot of continuity from last year. But still, it just feels like for the sake of the bit, I would say yes, parlay the unders, just because just go with it and see if week 1 unders can be an immortal lock for years and years to come. That would be hilarious. But yeah, I do like the Fishers 8.5 a little bit more than the under.
So I do have this one thing. Where can we watch the game tonight? And does it cost money?
I don't know, man. If only there was a way that I could download an app in less than 20 seconds on my phone and be watching the game. If only there was a way I could click a singular link to open it up on my computer, to open it up on my phone. If only there was a way. Oh, wait, hold on. Breaking. There is a way. Yes, it is that simple. Our buddy Luke Miller put out a great tweet that has every single way imaginable to watch the game tonight on Yahoo Sports Network. So, I'm excited to see it. Well, you guys are going to have to let me know what the broadcast is like. Shoot me some messages on X and whatnot. But I'm excited to see it all in action in person, and hopefully the viewing experience will translate at home.
Mr. President, I'm getting word of a second streaming service. Do you want to talk to us about overnight?
A second streaming partner has hit the internet.
It's hit the IFL.
So we haven't really discussed that yet. So, I mean, why not? I mean, what do you guys think about the overnight media partnership? I mean, and first of all, one thing I want to specifically ask about, the big thing that's been coming out about this deal is that the broadcast rights were sold for millions, right? I've seen that word millions multiple times. So how big of a deal is this for indoor football in general? Not just the IFL, but the sport as a whole. Let's go to Trey first on this one.
Yeah, I think it's massive. Just because over the past few years, it's been a pay-to-play market for so long, right? Where if you want to be on CBS Sports, you're paying to be in that slot. You're buying that slot. And I think that's something that people don't really fully understand the economics of it when they're like, oh, just go to ESPN, just go to Fox Sports. If the offer was on the table, I'm sure they would. But that's just not the reality of where the sport and where the industry is at right now. So I think this is a great foundational deal for the sport. And I think it kind of shows where this can go. And it takes time to get to where, the ESPN Plus, or I know people talk about Paramount as an option or whatever. It takes time to get to that point. And I think setting the precedent that our media rights are being bought and we're not having to pay people to please watch our product. I think that's going to be massive for the league for years to come.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's huge. Like, to Trey's credit, like, you're getting paid to broadcast. Like, and from the Yahoo article, the IFL still broadcasting. Everything is through the Indoor Football League Network. They are broadcasting everything. They're just putting their stuff on Yahoo. They're just putting their stuff on Overnight. So it all culminates back to the Indoor Football League. They're just pretty much saying, hey, we'll give you money if you just put our games here. And that's pretty much it. Like, you're getting paid a lot of money to sit there and say, hey, here's half of our games. What company wouldn't do that? I mean, I know it sucks for the fans. I do. Because like I said, I was in that part last year where I was like, $30 for the Indoor Football League. This is blasphemous. But like I said in my video about it, was like, but when you put that in the context of last year, they were taking games for free off of YouTube and putting it behind a paywall. Well, the paywall is already there. So now you're still going behind a paywall. It's no different from last year to this year. And people are still kind of throwing a stink about it. Yes, it's more money. I get that. But once you've opened up that can of worms, it's not going back. And that the league's going to do it, the league's going to do it. There's not really much you can do unless you just don't want to watch it, which, a side note to that, you can still watch everything for free. I think that's something that's not part of it. You can still watch it all for free. You just have to wait a week. So if you are really stringent and be like, I don't want to pay any money for this, go create an IFL Network account. You can watch the games for free. It will just take you a week. You don't get to be current with everything like that, but you still get to watch the games for free at the very end of the day.
I want to pull up something real quick, and I think it's very important for fans to see personally, because I think a lot of people are like, well, why do you make these partnerships? Why do you put your games where it's hard for us to get them? Well, this is why. Okay, this is Yahoo Sports website, right? Let me pull that up real quick a second. And this is how prominent the IFL is. Right there at the top bar, you've got the NFL, NBA, college basketball, college women's basketball, MLB, NHL, boom, IFL right there. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal. Then you go over to Overnight Media and click right here. Boom. First thing you come to, that is literally, if you go to Overnight Media, this is the first image you will see. Vegas and Arizona Rattlers talking about the IFL Hall of Fame game. So I don't think that there's any question that this is growing the game. I don't think there's any question that a lot more casual fans will see it, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm an expert on Overnight Media, but if they're paying millions to broadcast these games, you have to overhear that deal. You have to at least take them to the table and have that conversation, because one, we all know that indoor football is not a lucrative game currently. So a lot of these ownership groups are losing money. And as Trey mentioned, as Cody mentioned, they're paying to broadcast. As Coach Davis mentions right here, they're paying to broadcast, to get all this talent on camera, all that stuff. It costs money. So does that Overnight Media deal then offset all that cost? Because if it does, that's a huge win.
Now,
you get a high-level broadcast on multiple platforms, and in turn, the league's making money. So
one thing I do want to say about that too is there were, from what I have heard, so take this with a grain of salt, rumors, blah, blah, blah. One thing I have heard was there were streaming partners like ESPN or Paramount or people like that went like, hey, we want your product, but we're going to do it middle of the season. And the IFL is like, well, what do we do with the first half of the season? So they went with Overnight, because Overnight was like, we're going to do your entire season. So again, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to speculate. That's what I have heard. So if that is true, then yeah, you did have these big name companies on the table, and maybe you have that in a couple of years, but overnight's taking that spot.
Yeah, I had Jared Whitman on the Off the Wall this past week, shameless plug, to talk about the streaming deals and overnight and all that stuff. So he dives into it a lot more in depth, and obviously he's the one kind of making things happen with the league. So go check that out after the stream is done, of course. But yeah, I think that's a great point from Coach Davis in the chat, is that they're really taking a swing for the fences this year with the folks that they're bringing in to elevate the game presentation wise and give the game a little bit more credibility, right? Where a new person watching the IFL for the first time and turning it on and seeing Mark May on a broadcast or seeing Danny Cannell on a broadcast, that's going to hit a little bit different with some folks that remember those players, that remember them being on ESPN or being an analyst, right? It gives it a little bit more credibility. It gives it a little more ethos from the jump, right? So I'm just ready for football to start so we can stop talking about all this non-football stuff. And as soon as the pads and helmets start hitting tonight, we'll be able to chat about ball and all that. But yeah, I think it's typical off-season overreaction from a lot of folks. It's going to be fine. It's okay. 50-yard football is here. Let's have some fun. Let's try to enjoy it.
Agreed. And like you said, shout out to Luke Miller and shout out to you and a lot of other people that have been making the effort to try and explain to fans this is not a difficult procedure. You know, if you want to watch the games, you can find them. It's very easy. It's very simple. And yes, there is some cost to it. But like Cody said, we were all paying for it last year anyway. So at this point, you're not only paying for the IFL broadcast, you're paying for an all-star team of broadcasters that are now broadcasting the IFL. So I think that in itself is worth the value personally.
And again, over half the games are free on Yahoo. And if you really don't want to pay, you can wait a week, make an account on the Indoor Football League Network, watch those games a week later for free. If you truly do not want to spend money, we know some people don't want to spend money. Some people don't have the money. That's okay. You can still watch the games for free. This is going to take an extra week at the end of the day. If you want everything, you got to pay for it.
Agreed. And, you know, as always, you can tune into any of the 3 channels that are presented here to you today and keep updated throughout the week before you're able to watch that game if you prefer to watch them for free. So on that note, I have dropped 2 links in the chat, one to Cody's channel and one to Trey's channel. Please take the moment to follow those guys on YouTube. They both create great content. There's a reason why. They have the link to join us whenever they would like. So, I mean, we love having them on, and we really appreciate both you guys coming on this morning. But I think we've more or less touched on everything. The only thing that we haven't really kind of specifically hit on is the fact that, as Cody mentioned, IFL Network will be coming back. It is now a free platform. It will, again, be like kind of a catch-all. The games will all be presented there after a length of time where they've, you know, been on the broadcast partner for a while. To my understanding, they're also going to produce highlights on there. And is the Inside the IFL going on there as well?
Yes. So they're going to have all of their like behind the scenes stuff when it comes to interviews, podcasts, things along those lines. It's kind of a catch-all now. It's their digital hub for everything Indoor Football League related. So you can go over there and watch all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the article that announced it, they also said they would have condensed games as well, which I think is really good for those folks that may be a little time strapped at times where they may not have time to watch a 2.5 hour broadcast, but they can watch a 45-minute go of all the plays and take out like trim some of the fat, so to speak, right? Yeah. So if the IFL Network delivers on some of the stuff that they've got lined up, it could be a really good value add, especially at the price of $3.99, which everyone loves.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, when you kind of look at the broad scheme of things, you're getting Yahoo Sports, which is free. You're getting everything on the IFL Network for free. And then if you're paying for overnight media, you're still getting all this value from different directions. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad deal by any stretch.
And there's a code to make it cheaper.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I will try and find that code and post it up online. I know Luke put it up. I want to say it's like IFL 40 or something like that. But I will get it shared out. That way everybody has the opportunity to save that extra money on their first time.
I just commented it. It's IFL Fan 40.
IFL Fan 40. I appreciate that. So yeah, use that discount code when you sign up. You save some extra money. That way, it's even a little bit cheaper, and we're not, breaking the bank to watch indoor football this season. But
And that's overnight without the I. Over NGHT.
thank you. I meant to mention that as well. I did drop the link for overnight media in the chat as well. That way, if you guys have not heard about that, or you're not privy to overnight media as I am, I've never heard of it prior to this. You can go check out their content there, and then also get your sign up completed just in time for tonight's game. So while I could find the Yahoo stuff on my phone and computer, had difficulty finding Yahoo in my Fire TV. Do you guys know, will they be broadcasting the games via the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel?
I think Luke had a tweet about that, yeah. Or maybe Trey.
Yeah,
I think one of them did.
So on that note, I mean, Yahoo Sports does have a YouTube channel. So if you just really prefer watching your games on YouTube, you can watch them on YouTube via Yahoo Sports. So there are multiple different options for you to be watching these games. And definitely, Adam, you hit the nail on the head here. If you do have any questions about how you can watch the games, we are all happy to fill you in any way we possibly can to keep this game continuing to grow. We're in media. It's good business if the sport grows. So on that, Sea-Dog the Goat says, I found Yahoo on my Fire TV, Adam. So there you go. On that note, given that Trey was the only one that gave me any suggestions for the bets, I have locked in that under parlay while we were live here. Chandler, you gotta scoot over, bud. Sorry, my son's trying to get into his takes. Who you got, Quad City or Fishers?
Quad City.
Quad City, he says. And who do you got, Vegas or Green Bay?
Green Bay.
Green Bay. He picked the underdog. Okay.
Upset City.
There you go. So Chandler has Vegas or Quad City and Green Bay.
He
so
doesn't
now
know
I
ball.
have his
He
picks
does
in.
not know ball.
To be fair,
he's going to go undefeated. Watch.
Indoor football. He actually watched the Southwest Kansas game with me last night, some of the Sioux City game as well. And actually, his first experience with indoor football was Southwest Kansas game last year. So he got to actually get to see a game in person. It was pretty cool. So definitely appreciate everybody tuning in today. We've had a great chat the whole day. You guys have been extremely interactive. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Ducon, for tuning as well. Would love to get you back on the show, sir. If I haven't sent you the link, let me know. I'll get it over to you, and you're welcome to join us whenever you have the opportunity to. And then on that note, there was one statement that I wanted to say before we get out of here. So I meant to open up with this. I posted it on Facebook a couple days ago. We wanted to take a moment to shout out all the people behind the scenes in this sport that help make these teams go, help make it possible for all these players, coaches, equipment staff, owners, all of them to be able to make these teams go. So that's the wives, the children, the husbands, whatever it may be, moms, dads, whatever, all the support staff behind all of these people that we never really see or hear about unless somebody goes out of their way to point them out and point out how much they've helped. So it was brought to my attention that we never take the time to really shout out these people and give them the respect and the admiration that they deserve for what they do behind the scenes, that they're kind of the unsung heroes of the sport for a lot of people. So, if you happen to see a family member of a player at a game or something like that, just lean over and tell them thank you, because whether we know it or not, they're making sacrifices. They've got less family time, whatever it may be. They're making sacrifices for our entertainment, and I think that deserves some respect. Also, on another note, on a much more somber note, we broadcast a Ohio Valley Wrestling event on Thursday. During this event, one of the referees had a medical episode. He collapsed to the mat. It was broadcast live, so obviously this entire situation was live on our broadcast as well. And the referee is okay. He has recovered. His family put out a statement, but the unfortunate side of that is people who are clip farming, who are looking for clickbait, stuff like that, had caught on to our broadcast before I had the chance to remove it. And at this point, they have clipped our video several hundred times and put our logo out online. So we are kind of asking for your guys' help. If you see our logo on a video on any wrestling account that is not ours and it involves that episode, we do not have that posted anywhere. We did not give anybody express permission to post our content anywhere with our logo on it. And if needed, we will be pursuing legal action against anybody who refuses to take it down. So if you see that stuff, please contact me. Please let me know. I'm personally going through and reporting every single post I see with it on it because, first of all, his family deserves that privacy. Second of all, this is illegal. And third of all, this is not what we want in sports. Like, I don't understand why anybody thinks it's okay to post stuff like that and try to profit off of it. So I would never dream of that. I just want to make that very clear. We are not trying to profit off this situation. I wouldn't want to, even if I could. That's why we have deleted every video that we had of the incident. It is no longer found anywhere on any Shady Sports Network media. And like I said, I will be doing everything in my power to remove it online. So not exactly the topic I wanted to touch on, but sports, crazy things happen. It was not that long ago that we saw the Damar Hamlin situation on ESPN. Sometimes this stuff happens, but at the same time, my heart goes out to his family and the man himself. I believe his name is Dallas Edwards, if I remember correctly, because that's an incredibly scary situation that I have, I've lived through. I've had family members have medical episodes similar to what he experienced. Obviously not on live TV, so I didn't have to deal with that afterward. But let's have some grace. Let's show his family some grace, and send our well wishes to the Edwards family. So, like I said, not exactly the note I wanted to close out on, but I appreciate everybody for tuning in today, and I wanted to get that out there because it needed to be addressed. But we will definitely catch you guys in the next episode next Saturday. Any final thoughts from you guys before we get out of here?
Yeah. Monday is my daughter's birthday. So I just want to say happy birthday, Harper. You are 4 years old. If you ever watch these 3-hour-long football videos ever in your life, I just want to wish you happy birthday, baby. I can't wait to celebrate with you.
Happy birthday. It was Harper, correct? Happy birthday, Harper. Just slightly younger than my kid, so that's awesome. Also, while we have a moment, I forgot to mention this earlier. It sounds like Cody and I have locked in accommodations to be at the Southwest Kansas Omaha game on the March 28th. So we're trying to get that all situated, and hopefully you guys will see us there. We should hopefully be producing quite a bit of content from that as well. So if you're a Southwest Kansas fan, come say hi to us on the 28th. If you're an Omaha fan and you happen to be in town for that, come say hi to us as well for that. Trey, any final thoughts?
No, let's enjoy this weekend of football. If you're watching Quad City Fishers tonight, pay attention to the Zamboni.
Oh, really?
That's all I'll say.
Now we know why he's making the trip out to Fishers. So yeah,
that's definitely the only reason. The only reason. No other reason.
There's no ice over there. What are we doing?
You don't need ice for a party Zamboni, Cody. Come on now.
Are you driving or riding?
I might start off riding. I might GTA hijack that thing and just take it for a spin.
I was gonna say first one, then the other.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Snow wins in Green Bay. I'm gonna hit Chandler up for my picks. Let's do it. Adam, just say a Yahoo Sports Network on the Fire remote, and you should be able to find it. Well put, Sam. Great acknowledgement. You just have to scroll down a little, and you can find it, Adam. Big Boy Sports checking in. If anyone in the chat will be in Fair Park tonight, I'll be there. And then happy birthday, Harper from Texas Pete. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We always appreciate everybody in the chat. It's always a great time with you guys every Saturday. Honestly, I wish there were more Saturdays to do the show. So with that being said, we'll catch you guys next week. And like I said, make sure you pay attention to the games you guys go to, because you'll probably see one of our faces, throughout the season. So we'll catch you guys later. And also make sure you hit Trey up for one of those off the wall stickers.
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.